各位評審咁多位咧線上參與嘅觀眾，非常之多謝大家出席空間數據共享平台大獎2025作品匯報日。我係今日嘅大會司儀優兒。咁我哋首先咧會有組別2初中組嘅10隊入圍隊伍進行匯報，每一隊咧會有10分鐘嘅匯報時間，以及5分鐘嘅評審問答環節。匯報開始之前，等我介紹一下組別2嘅評審，包括主評審發展局空間數據辦事處高級土地測量師黃佩如女士，發展局北部都會區統籌辦事處助理秘書長廖超穎先生，香港中文大學地理與資源管理學系首席講師黃君傑博士，香港浸會大學歷史系系主任鄺志文教授，香港城市大學電機工程系博士後張子君博士。多謝晒咁多位評審咧，百忙之中抽空出席，特別多謝 City Gallery 提供場地俾我哋進行今日嘅活動。5位嘅評審會根據以下嘅評審準則為隊伍評分，包括內容30%、研究質量30%、意念及創意20%、整體表達20%。大會會根據每一隊嘅得分定出具一個組別嘅冠、亞、季以及優異獎，而組別2另外設有最佳空間數據應用獎同埋最佳創意獎2個特別嘅獎項。而家我哋即將就會邀請第一隊嘅匯報隊伍，就係0074D Moon。而家我哋係咪都準備好？咁我哋就現在開始計時。
各位評判、老師好，我哋係嚟自大埔嘅木恩中學。
今日好開心可以同大家分享我哋心中嘅海陸空旅遊路線。請大家先睇一段短片，一齊走入我哋心目中嘅海陸空旅遊路線。
你有冇諗過喺香港最北面有一個地方，山、海、鄉村可以成為一段旅程？我哋設計咗沙頭角海陸空深度遊，帶你由多個角度欣賞新界北部嘅自然同人文風景。由沙頭角出發，搭輕軌穿過昔日嘅鐵路遺跡，沿路連接社區同埋景點，再轉乘渡輪遊走海岸，探訪荔枝窩，聽客家故事，望住奇岩紅樹，感受時間慢慢流過。最後飛上天，鳥瞰印洲塘、紅花嶺，一望無際，連深圳都盡收眼底。每個站點都可能遇上節慶、舞麒麟、打蕉、搶花炮，所以我哋整合咗一幅4季文化地圖，帶你隨節令按地點走入沙頭角獨有嘅文化節奏。沙頭角海陸空，等你嚟發現香港嘅另一面。
多謝大家睇完呢段短片啦！呢段短片就係我哋對北部都會區南陸生態圈嘅回應。海陸空深度遊，我哋認為政府有2重角色。第一，政府係交通規劃者，因此我哋用空間數據規劃3維交通，包括海陸空線，連接社區同埋文化。第二，政府係文化推廣者，所以我哋同村民訪問後，製造咗4季文化地圖，講好沙頭角嘅故事。你哋知唔知道沙頭角以前係有火車站㗎？各位，沙頭角嘅地底下沉睡住一條百年鐵路嘅記憶。1912年，九廣鐵路沙頭角支線曾將粉嶺同呢片秘境相連，雖已消失近100年，但今日我哋想將佢喚醒。我哋嘅方案係修復核心路段，打咗一條復古輕軌。佢嘅靈魂唔在於快，而在於慢，慢到足夠你細聽風聲，觸摸歷史。列車仲可以加設互動展覽，講述歷史、文化、民間故事。唔係得交通，係一場時光之旅。我哋並唔係亂咁設站，我哋喺設計路線時有3個考慮。第一個考慮就係歷史意義啦。首先，我哋喺路線參考咗1927年嘅原路線。第二個考慮就係旅客需要，因此我哋喺地圖上 input 咗歷史建築，並且將歷史建築製成一個500米嘅buffer。第三個考慮就係當地居民嘅需要啦。為確保車站源頭有需求，我哋將電視接收信號同埋歷史建築 overlay， 最後找出咗5個合適嘅位置，分別係粉嶺、龍月頭、禾坑、石涌牛同埋沙頭角新碼頭。每個禮券站都覆蓋到文化遺址， 鄰近村落同埋社區中心。呢個可以俾線路最大限度嘅服務旅客同埋周邊居民，提升使用率，為旅客同埋居民生活帶嚟極大嘅便利。GIS 唔止幫我哋畫地圖，仲幫我哋由數據中練人情味。
我哋講完陸呢，就不如講下海線啦。我哋就設計咗一條跳島、尋根、探奇嘅生態文化航線。咁我哋就諗啦，究竟旅客喺邊度上船會方便啲呢？為咗解答呢個問題，我哋先喺 CSDI portal 下載咗大埔同埋北區嘅所有碼頭。我哋嘅選址呢，考慮係建基於商業活動同埋交通嘅便利性，所以我哋用 aggregate points 功能計算咗碼頭500米嘅步行範圍入邊呢，有幾多巴士站同埋超級市場等等嘅商店。泥涌碼頭呢係結合兩者數量最多嘅。因此，我哋就選擇咗烏溪沙站附近嘅泥涌碼頭作為起點啦。由泥涌碼頭揚帆啦，遊客可以觀賞香港地質公園嘅明珠、鴨洲，探訪海蝕洞同埋其他嘅地質奇觀。之後到民風淳樸嘅客家圍村荔枝窩，坐覽香港嘅風土人情。從被譽為上有蘇杭、下有印塘嘅印洲塘，睇遍山海。再經船灣淡水湖旁邊嘅自然保護區，最終抵達沙頭角。呢一條線係乘風破浪嘅文化教室，導賞員講述嘅唔單止係風景，而係海嘅傳說、圍村嘅族譜、石頭嘅史詩。最後，我哋要帶大家一齊衝上雲霄，聯手深圳開創低空觀光航線。我哋從民航處地圖 download 咗禁飛區嘅地圖啦，然後將佢 input 落去個 story map 入邊。Story map 入邊藍色嘅部分就係禁飛區啦。大家可以見到我哋嘅飛行路線呢係避開咗藍色嘅部分，即係禁飛區㗎。所以我哋嘅飛行路線呢係可行嘅。我哋講下航嘅路線啦。我哋首先旅客可以從深圳嘅梧桐山起飛，俯瞰紅花嶺嘅自然美景，再觀賞被譽為香港小桂林嘅印洲塘，同埋船灣淡水湖嘅獨特石帶龍落水，俯瞰沙頭角入邊香港僅存嘅廣州式騎樓，以及小梅沙，觀賞深圳最長嘅海灘。呢個海路嘅最大突破呢，就係旅客唔使再為繁瑣嘅過關手續而煩惱，就即刻可以從雲端擁抱香港東北嘅壯闊山河。空路嘅意義係在於用創新翅膀打破視覺界限，讓深港美景喺旅客心中共舞。
我哋喺社區訪問時訪問咗29名受訪者，沙頭角鄉事委員會副主席曾玉安先生同埋所有受訪者都對我哋嘅旅遊計劃表示感興趣，而其中輕軌係最受到受訪者歡迎嘅，原因係可以令到沙頭角嘅交通更加便利，亦唔會受到天氣嘅影響。其次，郵輪同埋直升機都有28%嘅受訪者將佢列為最有興趣嘅選項。我哋希望旅客可以感受到嘅唔單止係風景，同埋新界東北濃厚嘅文化同埋歷史底蘊。因此，我哋用 GIS 繪製咗一幅4季文化地圖，每張地圖都包含非遺活動地點、時間同埋圖片。我哋以下會展示春夏秋冬嘅非遺文化4季地圖。春季地圖包括太平清醮，夏季地圖包括關帝誕，秋季地圖包括谷埔村豐收祭，冬季地圖包括爬天基。旅客可以揀季節、揀主題、揀路線，唔再係過客，而係文化節奏嘅參與者，按季節定製旅程，真正體驗沙頭角嘅脈搏。
我哋嘅海陸空旅遊計劃咧，回應咗多個聯合國嘅 SDGs， 包括 SDG 11可持續城市與社區，例如我哋會活化孔嶺站、保育郊野同埋其他嘅文化村落。第二，我哋嘅旅遊計劃回應咗聯合國嘅 SDG 13同15，即係氣候行動同埋陸地生態。我哋會使用低碳嘅交通工具，例如話輕軌，同埋我哋會對旅客進行生態教育，提升佢哋嘅生態敏感度。呢個計劃係以交通為骨、文化為魂、科技為翼、社區為本、永續為燈嘅新界東北旅遊新典範。
咁我哋喺之前亦都係提到過咧，我哋係設計咗一個綜合嘅運輸樞紐同埋文化嘅樞紐嘅。咁為咗令到佢更加嘅形象化咧，我哋設計咗一個 嘅模型，就喺呢度。我哋加咗好多唔同嘅細節，亦都喺上面呢度加上咗一啲呢個地圖。呢個地圖上面有唔同嘅景點，例如呢度嘅印洲塘啦、鴨洲啊、荔枝窩等。喺上面嘅路線可以令到我哋成個項目更加形象化，令到我哋可以更加容易咁樣去理解到我哋成個諗法係點樣嘅。
今日我哋用 GIS 設計咗一條3維路線，連接咗社區同埋旅客、歷史同埋未來、沙頭角同埋世界。最後想問大家一條問題：如果你可以揀一條路線，你會揀走入歷史嘅輕軌、漂泊漁村嘅海路，定係飛越山海嘅空中之旅？
我
哋係 Moon，多謝各位。
好 ，thank you，唔該晒咁多位同學，請繼續留步咧，可以去到呢邊嘅位置。咁接住落嚟咧，就係5分鐘嘅評審嘅發問時間啦。有冇邊一位評審咧想發問問題嘅？好，我哋有請黃女士。
多謝同學嘅 presentation 啦，咁我就見到咧，其實都好全面嘅海陸空同埋4季嘅，咁可唔可以咧再分享多啲咧？其實你哋做呢個 project 嗰陣時候咧，你哋覺得最困難係邊一部分咧？同埋你哋係點樣去再深究你哋個問題即係從而就再做好啲咧？可唔可以分享多少少俾我聽啊？
我哋印象最深刻，同埋我哋覺得最困難嘅部分係社區訪問嘅時候。嗰陣時係冇咩受訪者嘅，即係我哋喺上水同埋粉嶺分別做訪問啦。冇咩受訪者係願意去沙頭角做旅遊或者係觀光嘅。我哋淨係訪問咗少數嘅人啦。我覺得呢個經歷即係有啲深刻。
點解冇乜人願意接受訪問嘅？
唔係冇咩人接受訪問，而係冇咩人想去。可能因為沙頭角要申請禁墟紙，所以導致人流會好少咯。
我反而覺得咧，就未必局限喺即係新界區嘅居民嘅，反而係我自己即係住市區啦，反而都有興趣去沙頭角睇下嘅。可能下一次都可以諗下，即係都訪問市區，即係其他唔同社區嘅人，可能都會俾好多意見你嘅，係啦。咁就睇下其他各位評審會唔會有問題，
或者有冇其他嘅問題？好，有請。
Hello, thank you for your presentation. My question is, can you recommend one of the 3 routes if I were a first-time traveler to Hong Kong?
We will recommend the sea route because Hong Kong is a very special place. It's combining city and the natural view. Like if you join our sea route, you will be able to check out all of our, Hong Kong has such special geographical spots, such as, like you can see here, Abzhou and Xunwan. And so you can experience more of Hong Kong's special geographical tourist spots. And I think you had a great memory.
好。
Thank you。
我哋仲有啲時間，會唔會都仲有問？有請鄺教授。
謝你哋嘅presentation 好有趣啊！咁啊諗咗好多唔同嘅路線啦，我就有少少現實嘅，我就喺度諗緊你個火車啊。咁啊個 idea 梗係好啦，咁即係大家都知道有個即係以前有個火車喺度咁樣，你話復古佢，咁我想問就係你哋會 prefer 係真係好似本來咁嘅樣啊，即係真係盡量復古啊，定係整過一條新嘅？你知喺香港起條鐵路可以好貴噶嘛？即係你有冇諗過就係邊個方法會比較可取啲咧？即係到底係起過一條新嘅，但係用翻嗰條線啦。你話你修復部分路段啊嘛，咁啊講就應該易嘅，但係實際上我都有諗，到底係起過容易啲啊，定係修復翻佢容易啲咧？同埋架車啦。 嘅車到底你會想即係純粹我從遊客角度，我想用架舊蒸汽車好啊，定係整個架新嘅好啲？你哋覺得呢？
大約有1分鐘嘅回答時間。
我哋係認為利用新嘅車好啲嘅，例如我哋如果係利用輕便鐵路啦，咁樣嘅造價亦都可以平啲。我哋喺路邊有建設路軌嘅話咧，嗰個造價亦都可以進一步壓低咗佢嘅。咁所以我哋係認為起新嘅會好啲，亦都可以避免咗大幅度去到收地，你去到重現翻，即係去到完全地重現翻嘅舊嘅鐵路嘅。
係咪回答完成啦？好，咁我哋都時間都差唔多，我哋都再次唔該晒咁多位同學 ，thank you。好，呢個時候可以咧喺場嘅另一邊咧離場嘅 ，thank you。 好，咁接住落嚟呢一隊呢，就係0123D 優涌 International School Secondary， 將時間交俾你哋，現在開始計時。
Good morning, judges. We are Team
Drones to the rescue.
From Yucheng International School Secondary. I am Carson.
I am Melissa.
I'm Anthony.
And I'm Kristen.
And I'm Wai.
What will you do if your elderly loved one suddenly collapsed from a heart attack?
I'll call the ambulance.
What if the ambulance is stuck in a traffic jam? Heart diseases were the cause of nearly 13% of all deaths in Hong Kong, especially threatening the elderly. Performing CPR or using an AED within the first 3 minutes is crucial to save a life. However, ambulance response times are currently pledged at 12 minutes, and traffic jams can make it worse. There is an urgent need to improve Hong Kong's emergency service system for our elderly, especially in Northern Metropolis, where hospital facilities are limited. Our solution is deploying drones. Research shows that drones can boost survival rates from 8% to 80%. Inspired by the latest international research, we are proposing an innovative solution. Deploying a point-to-point drone rescue service by installing rooftop vertiports equipped with landing and charging pads in high-demand areas of the Northern Metropolis. This concept of vertiports has already been explored and even implemented in some countries like Switzerland and Dubai. These are our research methods: on-site observation, geospatial information observation, literature review, questionnaire survey, geospatial data analysis, and expert interview. Our proposal is to start with utilizing rooftops of public subsidized housings, setting a positive example for private owners to follow. Our observation on the spatial pattern, Shengshui and Fanling are the major areas with the largest population of elderly, highest density of public housing, and very limited hospital facilities.
We understand that gaining the acceptance of local residents is crucial for the success of our Drones to the Rescue concept. So, to better understand public opinion, we conducted a survey targeting adult residents in more than 10 public and subsidized housing estates in Shenzhen and Fanling. We collected 174 valid responses in total. As shown in the figure, we identified 4 possible drone applications. The ones that received the most positive perceptions were emergency medication delivery services and emergency medical response services. However, the other 2 were met with a bit of concern, so we decided to focus on the first 2. Next, we asked the respondents, if emergency medical drone delivery services were to be implemented, would you like them to cover your area? Most respondents strongly supported this idea, with 90% of them having a 4 or above in attitude. However, there are some exceptions. For example, Yuk Po Court, which only got a 3 out of 5, suggesting that it might not be the best place for the initial pilot project.
Now I'd like to walk you through the 7 key steps of our geospatial analysis, which helped us identify the optimal locations for vertipoints for our pilot project. First, we mapped the distribution of elderly population across the district. Using a color-coded graph, we identified which housing blocks had the highest concentrations of elderly population. These appeared in red. This helped us target areas where the need for emergency medical support is the greatest. Next, we analyzed the density of unpaid caregivers, mainly family members, within these housing blocks. Unlike paid helpers, unpaid caregivers are a strong indicator of vulnerable elderly residents. They would also be the primary recipients of our drone-delivered first aid supplies. We overlaid this data, shown as blue circles, onto the elderly density map to find blocks with both high elderly population, at the red blocks, and many unpaid caregivers. For the third step, we observed the locations of the district hospital and the ambulance depots. This allowed us to assess the potential for quick emergency response and drone delivery routes. In step 4, as shown on the map, The purple shaded area marks the 2-minute driving distance from the district hospital and the ambulance depots. This is based on the St. John's Ambulance 3-minute CPR and AED rescue guideline, with 1 minute allowed for reaching the unit by lift. Importantly, 2 out of the 3 identified housing blocks with the highest elderly population are not within the safety net, highlighting a gap in emergency coverage for our most vulnerable residents. In step 5, we observe the actual district traffic flow. Heavy traffic in some areas would further delay ambulances, especially to the blocks marked with dark red bubbles on our map. This highlighted the strong need for drone intervention in these high traffic zones. In the 6th step, we checked for airspace restrictions. The Civil Aviation Department's restricted flying zone map showed that the main potential drone route between hospitals, ambulance depots, and housing estates were generally unobstructed. However, it's important that these zones are checked daily to ensure a smooth drone operation. Finally, combining all these insights, we identified 2 estates, Chaoyun and Tinping Estate, as the best candidates for our pilot project, because they have higher elderly population, higher number of unpaid caregivers, and they are further from emergency services in terms of travel area, and potentially suffer from traffic congestions. Our resident survey also shows strong community support in these 2 estates, with preference scores from about 4.3 out of 5. In summary, these 7 steps allowed us to make evidence-based decisions and select locations where drone emergency services can have the greatest benefit for our elderly population.
Our execution plan centers on enhancing emergency medical services by building rooftop vertiports in the selecting housing estates. When an eVTOL drone lands, it will deliver essential items such as medication, AEDs, and telemedicine equipment with instant video capabilities directly to the housing unit in need. This delivery will be achieved using a small protected horizontal conveyor belt on the rooftop and a small vertical elevator. By using restricted rooftop areas for drone landings, we minimize noise, enhance safety, and protect residents' privacy. Overall, this system ensures that emergency supplies can reach those in need quickly and efficiently, ultimately safeguarding the health and safety of our elderly residents.
So what if drones fell? Well, in our survey study, many local residents expressed concerns for drones potentially falling, so we decided to input a drone parachute system which would trigger in the event of an emergency landing. Additionally, the drone will be equipped with a return-to-home system, also known as the RTH system, which will trigger in the event of low battery and navigate the drone to the nearest charging station. As it is also equipped with a GPS, we will be able to navigate it easily after it lands. Next off, we had an in-depth interview with a land surveyor who had over 30 years of experience in drone expertise, and he suggests that we add a drone facilitated emergency service department to enhance the safety and health of the elderly, as well as reviewing the Hong Kong aviation regulations to enable the use of drones in the urban environments. Additionally, he also suggests that we add a comprehensive control center to monitor all drone operations, as we have founded 2 test bases in the Northern Metropolis. In conclusion, utilizing drones for medication AED will help enhance the emergency responses and improve the public health by using geospatial data analysis and local public consultations.
Drones to the rescue!
Thank you.
Thank you so much，唔該晒。咁可以咧，我哋後緊多中間多少少嘅。咁接住落嚟就係評審嘅發問時間。咁睇下邊位評審咧都有問題想了解多啲。好，有請廖生。
Testing. Oh, thank you very much for your interesting presentation. I have maybe first question is about I saw you show a map showing the travel distance within 2 minutes for ambulances from the hospitals. How did you work out that area?
We calculated the distance from the ambulance depot, and according to the St. John's 3-minute rescue guideline, with 1 minute being deducted for reaching the unit, there's only 2 minutes left for the ambulance to arrive. So we used the tool called Generate Travel Area on the story map, and here you can see that there's like the route of which an ambulance can travel in 2 minutes for the hospital and the ambulance depots.
睇下仲有冇其他問題，黃博士。
Right. Thank you. I think I really like your model. Why don't you tell us something about your model first? How do you build it, and what is the purpose of your model?
Well, our purpose for building the model is to show you the area. So it's to propose our ideas. So as said earlier by Carson, we use drones for the vertiports, and as I said, we use it for medication AD. So here is a drone department, and these are the landing pads. So there's a landing pad for the hospital, and there's a landing pad for this department. And well, thank you for your question. So for the purpose of our model, as you can see, there's actually a map down here. This is actually to scale. It's 1 cm to 30.36 meters. And even though these are actually not to scale, the materials that we used to construct this model were 50 times 50 foam thing underneath it, which is a base, and then this banner is also used by foam, and then the thing here is used by sticks.
Yes, wooden sticks.
Yes.
And for our buildings, well, we ordered it off summer, so it's plastic.
Yes.
It's hard plastic.
Yes.
As well as the what's it called again?
Can we have a closer look of this model because it is quite interesting?
Oh, sure.
我哋大約仲有1分30秒左右嘅時間嘅。
Well, I think I have another question for you, because I saw that you use a lot of geospatial data in your analysis, including population data and traffic data and so on. So because your project is mainly about using drones to help people, especially for the elderlies, well, but you know there are some restriction for the drones to land, right? So when you consider to find a suitable landing pad for the drones, what are the criteria? And also, did you know about, you know, the surface area of the drone? Say, if this is the hospital, how far can a drone reach, like in terms of a distance? Because that will also affect, you know, your analysis. Do you have any idea for that, or have you considered that?
So the second part of your question, I think it depends on the drone, because like there's different types. So there's like bigger drones that need to be licensed for land surveying. That can like travel more than like private drones. And also, I'm sorry, could you repeat your question?
The landing pad that you show in the model, do you find there may be some kind of restrictions in the buildings of Hong Kong, because you're talking about, you know, the public housing estates? Have you have a site visit to the rooftop of the building so that you can find what things are there, so that you can plan, I mean, in a better way?
No.
Okay. So yeah, just something for you to think about maybe in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, because time's up. Thank you so much. 唔該晒咁多位，咁可以咧喺右邊咧離場嘅。Thank you, thank you so much. 住咧，我哋下一隊咧就係0139D Low Altitude Economy in NM。我哋現在開始計時。
Good morning, we are students from Poland Kokna Poland College, and may we introduce ourselves first. I'm Isaac.
I'm Lasia.
I'm Simons.
And I'm Moses.
And our topic is developing a low-altitude economy in the northern metropolis by developing drone delivery services and finding suitable sites of drone depots. And before starting our presentation, have you ever heard of the low-altitude economy and what exactly is it? Well, the low-altitude economy is a type of economy that uses manned aircrafts to carry out public, private, and commercial services within low-meter airspace, usually below 2,000 meters. And examples include delivery of mails, goods, short-range commutes, and even professional services such as air firefighting. And even in Shenzhen, the government has started to develop a low-altitude economy. And our objective of our study is to explore the feasibility of drone delivery services in northern metropolis, and hence we will focus on finding suitable sites of drone depots. And while the term of drone depots is very new, it can be concluded as a point where goods are gathered and then redistributed to different locations by the use of drones. And it is predicted that with the promotion of drone delivery services in the northern metropolis, people can be more accessible to both government and private resources. And our presentation will cover our methodology, findings, suggestions, limitations, and we will finally conclude our study. Now let me pass the time to my teammates Lasia for the methodology part. Thank you.
So first of all, we have implemented various map layers, including post office information, public market information, and clinics registered under CAP 343. And also, major lab development projects are also under the study under the Northern Metropolis. We have also used the merge layers function to merge the layers of public markets, post offices, clinics into one named public facilities. We have also using find hotspots function to identify spatial clusters of public facilities within each new town in Hong Kong. We have also done the same procedure for the map layers of restaurant licenses. So hence, the areas that include the hotspot areas are both public facilities and restaurants, and they're great places to set up drone depots. Well, this is because these locations have lots of drone activities, which making them perfect for effective and quick drone deliveries. For example, we have Chun Mun Town Center, Fanling, Shengshui, and Chun Mun. Next, we can find the suggested drone depots locations, and we can find 5 suggested sites for building drone depots.
So, what are our findings? Having found the possible sites near the northern metropolis, there are a total of 3 cooked food markets and a market in Yunlong, and 1 market in Shengshui. The Shek-Wuhui market is built upon a municipal service building. Hence, the large rooftop area is perfect to develop drone depots. This includes the podium area of Taikyu Market at the Yunlong Government Office. Do note that the 3 listed cooked food markets in Yunlong are yet to be able to be developed as drone depots, as drone depots, due to the pointy roof design, lack of open space nearby, may be difficult to develop. Though we still decided to keep them on the list, because of the low nearby building height and closeness to nearby public facilities. We can expect that the retrofitting or redevelopment in the nearby GIC zones in the coming future can provide us with modernized buildings that include space for drone depots, making the cooked food markets perfect spots for drone depots. Currently, the latest technology of drones can deliver our products at a maximum of 2.5 kilograms, and can provide a 5-kilometer two-way service. Using the create buffer function, a map of low-altitude economy service areas can be found. However, we must also put into account the height of nearby buildings. To do this, we use the map layer of Hong Kong outline zoning plans building height control areas and identified all buildings with a height of 100 meters or above. We then added a 150-meter buffer around these buildings as per regulation. In addition, we must also consider the drone-restricted areas in Hong Kong. Therefore, we added the restricted zones onto our map. Using the sketch function, we highlighted all hills with over 200 meters within the buffer. Finally, using the merge layers function, we merged the 3 previous layers into one called final no-fly area. Making use of the overlay layers function, we can erase the restricted areas from the buffer zone. We also observed the location of different NDAs in the northern metropolis to identify possible flying zones from drone depots. From Yuen Long, drones can serve towards Lau Fau Shan and Yuen Long South NDAs. However, drones cannot enter into the area of Hong Shui Q / Hachun, as building height allowed in the area is above 100 meters. From Fan Lang, drones can access Da Gu Lang, Ping Che, and to the eastern corner of Gudong and Santin. However, major parts of Gudong and Santin and the whole Fan Lang North have no service of drone delivery.
And now let me explain how the drone roads actually work with this 3D figure. As you can see here, we have 2 residential buildings with a shopping mall with a drone landing stations and a wet market with a drone depot station and a restaurant and a post office. And when the residents order food from the restaurant, all meals should be distributed to the residents in the buildings. The drones will collect the goods from here and then detour from here to the shopping mall where the landing station is, as according to government regulations, drones cannot be closer to residential buildings. And hence, by doing so, we can show you how the low altitude economy and using drone depots, how it actually work. And now let me have the time to Moses to introduce our suggestion part. Thank you.
Okay. Nowadays, a lot of shopping malls and public markets in Hong Kong have high vacancy rates due to the rise of online shopping and the increasing consumption in Shenzhen. Many shopping malls have become dead malls. We believe that shopping malls may no longer be needed in the future as they may replace it by drone delivery service. According to our research, areas like Yuen Long South and Lau Fau Shan can enjoy the drone delivery service. Simultaneously, government can increase the population threshold in arranging the planning of commercial facilities and the public markets. Areas under the drone delivery service can have low density of public markets and commercial facilities. First, we suggest developers of housing estates to reduce the airport area for shopping malls. Instead, plot area for recreational facilities can be increased since it cannot be replaced by drone delivery service. Here is a part of Northern Metropolis without drone delivery service, including the major part of Santin, northern edge of Ta Kwu Lang, Kwu Tung, and Fan Lang North, etc. In town planning, more land for commercial land uses in this area is needed.
And nevertheless, there are still limitations of our study. And firstly, as the land use of non-development areas in the northern metropolis is not shown yet, we cannot suggest certain plots in northern metropolis of drone landing stations or targeted residential areas for landing. And nextly, due to the technological limitation of drones while landing and departing, there might still create some noise. And our suggested drone depots is very close to residential buildings. And hence, it is also suggested that noise reduction measures like installing noise barriers might be needed. And nextly, as a 3D elevation map is only available in ArcGIS Pro but not ArcGIS Online, and hence we cannot include spatial data of hills and range. Although we used the sketch function to outline the hills, but we would also like to have a more accurate data for our study and to have specific sites of drone landing station and drone roads. And yes, lastly, the surface area of drone delivery can vary with the further improvement of drone technology or the setting up of drone-related laws and regulations in Hong Kong. And now let me conclude our study. We have found 5 suitable sites for drone depots, including 1 public market and free cooked food market in Yuen Long and 1 public market in Shengshui. And unequivocally, developing low-altitude economy would definitely be beneficial to the northern metropolis as citizens will be more accessible to resources. And we had also heard of news about takeaway delivery accidents, and low altitude economy can also reduce the risk of it happening. And drones can also cover a lot of aspects with technological advancement, and it has a lot of possibilities, and we can conclude that low altitude economy has a high possibility. And this is
Thank
the
you
end of
so
our study.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So now we're going to move to the Q&A section. 我哋評審嘅發問環節，有冇邊一位評審咧有問題想問下我哋嘅參賽者 ？Any questions？ 好，我哋有請黃女士。
喺你哋個 presentation 見到啦，咁其實如果係用 drone 係去做啲 delivery service 嘅時候咧，咁其實有冇諗過一啲即係重量嘅限制咧？因為我見到其中你哋個 materials 話係2.5 kg 同埋係within 5個 kilometers 咁樣嘅，咁有冇 consider 到其實2.5 kg 其實可以送到啲咩貨啊？或者會唔會有啲其實係住喺一啲比較郊區嘅居民係更加需要呢個 drone 嘅 delivery 咧？有冇 consider 到一啲住得比較偏遠嘅居民嘅需要咧？
咁我首先回答咗你第一個問題先啦。咁關於2.5 kg 呢一方面咧，咁我哋之前都係用咗幾個 layer 啦，包括係餐廳啦，同埋 post clinic 啦，或者post office 啦，或者係 clinic 啦。咁我哋相信呢一啲咁嘅貨，例如食物啊，或者即係信啦，都唔會超過2.5 kg， 亦都係點解我哋 focus 會喺呢啲 facilities 度。咁另一方面就係咧，其實我哋都頭先都有見到就係話咧，比較一啲偏遠嘅地方啦，喺呢個北部都會區入面都係有啲可能係我哋嘅 drone delivery services 咧，係 cover 唔到嘅地方嚟嘅。咁所以咧，我哋都講到喺 town planning 入面咧，咁如果 cover 唔到嘅話咧，咁對於 commercial land use 啊，或者係government 嘅 land use 啦，亦都係包括餐廳、post office、clinic 呢啲咧，咁亦都係需要多啲嘅。咁相對上嚟講，如果有呢一個drone delivery service 嘅話咧，喺上面我哋就講到係可以 reduce 嗰個 area 啦。咁就用嗰啲 area 咧去做呢一個嘅recreational facilities 啊。咁希望呢個可以解答到你嘅問題。唔該。
好，我哋仲有啲時間，睇下仲有冇評審有冇問題想問？黃博士啊。
Well, I think thank you for your very interesting presentation. So I just want to know, so after this project, do you think it's really feasible for Hong Kong to use so-called low altitude economy, like especially in the newly developed NDA area that you have mentioned? What do you think?
So our focus is mainly in the Northern Metropolis, so I'll respond based on the data we have found in the Northern Metropolis. And first of all, we have also mentioned some limitations in our study, but through our findings, like the drone flying roads and our surface area, we can conclude that the drone delivery services in the Northern Metropolis is very feasible, as it can cover many areas, as we have said. And but yes, as mentioned, the limitation of our study, we don't have the land use of non-development areas, as well as the 3D elevation map. And these are the limitations of our study, which we cannot make very certain conclusion. But based on the information we have right now, we can say that it is very feasible. And also, with the regulations in Hong Kong having changed, that I can say that at this point it is very feasible. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
大約仲有1分鐘鬆啲，睇下仲有冇問題想問。好，我哋有請鄺教授。
我個問題，咁嗰啲街市嗰啲平時做開雜貨賣嘢嗰啲婆婆咧，佢唔識得用呢個噶嘛？有冇辦法幫佢哋？即係唔可以話就咁replace 咗佢 phase out 趕佢走，唔得噶喎。咁點做啊？How do we help those people who are also selling things but they cannot really handle this technology? How do you help them?
咁係的確有好多呢啲需要幫助人啦。咁隨住科技嘅進步咧，首先最基本嘅咧一定係要宣傳啦，係咪？咁要俾多啲人知道我哋而家透過呢個無人機嘅低空經濟係 點樣做㗎啦。咁我相信透過宣傳咧，有一部分嘅人咧係會首先學到其實原來我只要將嗰啲嘢擺上去呢個中depot 嗰度咧，咁佢就可以送到過去㗎啦。咁樣咁另一方面就係咧，其實政府咧都可以 carry out 一啲多啲嘅 program 啊，去教呢啲咁嘅人啦。例如社區中心啦，可以教婆婆話你開緊嗰間雜貨店，我哋可以透過咁樣去
好，時間到，我哋一句 wrap up 埋好唔好啊？
好，即係透過政府嘅 program 同埋宣傳，係唔該。
OK，thank you，唔該晒，多謝晒咁多位非常精彩嘅分享。呢個時候可以喺右手邊離場啦。 好啦，咁話咁快咧嚟到第4隊啦，接住落嚟就係0524D Northern Metropolis Builders，我哋現在開始計時。
一支古董醬油需要陽光暴曬365日先至可以釀成，但係醬園所在嘅土地下年就要變成科技大樓。
拆咗堯聖母廟，我哋拜咗幾十年嘅神，點算啊？
發展定係保育，北部文化嘅靈魂就嚟消失。各位評判、老師、同學，大家好，我哋係 Northern Metropolis Builders。我哋今日嘅主題係守護北部文化魂。
試想像有一日，你嘅屋企、學校，甚至係充滿成長回憶嘅地方，突然被貼上拆遷嘅標誌，呢個就係新界村民而家嘅心情。
政府推行大規模收地計劃，旨在推動北部發展，興建住宅，鼓勵創科嘅蓬勃發展，改善鄉郊環境，興建濕地保育公園同埋北都大學教育城等等。
我哋一齊嚟睇下地圖裏面，我哋可以見到有唔少法定古蹟同埋已評級歷史建築物喺北部都會區嘅主要發展土地內，所以好可惜咁，正因為呢個收地計劃，100年歷史嘅醬油工場、具考古價值嘅歷史建築、鄉村學校同埋農場等文化地標面臨清拆，導致傳統技藝失傳、節慶活動式微，以及後述歷史、方言等等流失。此外，收地強行割裂數十年形成嘅鄰里關係，迫使居民適應高密度城市環境，而文化正喺度被連根拔起。
面對呢一個收地計劃，村民亦都有唔少不滿。牛潭尾村公所掛上誓保牛潭尾村、反對滅村同埋不遷不拆等白底紅字嘅標語，呢啲一個又一個嘅橫額並唔係裝飾品，而係300幾位村民守護家園嘅吶喊。就好似村民朱先生話，未必一定要大學城喺度先有文化氣息。政府話收地係為咗發展，但係發展嘅代價唔通就係要犧牲呢啲100年歷史嘅文化瑰寶咩？所以我哋要關注嘅係點樣喺發展同保育文化之間取得平衡。
要平衡各持份者嘅利益，我哋可以從保護同埋活化兩方面入手。喺保護文化方面，政府可以根據以下措施，避免破壞北部都會區嘅文化領域，從而達到可持續發展。我哋可以識別高價值嘅文化聚落區，將嗰啲地方，例如屏山文物徑、龍躍頭文物徑等區域嘅100米範圍內設置緩衝區，列為非拆遷區，立法禁止大規模清拆。同時，我哋亦參考咗尖沙咀鐘樓喺已評級建築物同埋法定古蹟嘅100米範圍設置緩衝區，咁樣唔單止可以確保有足夠土地發展，亦都可以從中保護具文化價值嘅地方。
而喺資料搜集嘅過程中，我哋發現政府忽略咗現存某部分嘅閒置棕地，亦都應該仿效將大埔嘅舊警署活化成嘅綠匯學院，將更加多嘅空置政府物業活化成文創中心。與此同時，北部有約800塊廢棄農地，政府可以靈活運用呢啲農地，避免喺具文化價值嘅用地發展。然後藍色嘅部分就係北部都會區而家進行研究嘅主要土地發展項目，我哋篩選出範圍以外政府未打算發展嘅可用土地，希望政府活用呢啲地方。
不過我哋發現，而家剩低嘅可用土地就同文化守護要地同非遷拆區重疊，所以我哋篩走重疊嘅地方，最後保留啲唔會影響到文化保育嘅可用土地。與此同時，我哋亦都發現新自然保育地點，我哋參考咗中國嘅濕地保護法，建議政府可以喺嗰度設置200米嘅緩衝區，透過避開喺該處發展，一嚟可以維持生態平衡，亦都可以防止水土流失。篩選後，剩低嘅就係政府可發展、唔影響文化守護要地、非拆遷區同埋保育地點嘅土地。
而透過對比呢兩個地圖，我哋可以見到政府可發展嘅土地同巴士站嘅位置相符，所以日後政府可以發展呢啲地方嘅時候，唔需要擔心佢嘅可及性。我哋亦建議政府日後按照可發展土地嘅位置發展巴士路線。
喺活化文化方面，政府亦可以從地面同埋地底兩方面發展。地面方面，政府可以活化地面農地，將佢哋打造成文化工作坊、有機農場同埋體驗式市集，兼顧傳統技藝傳承同埋在地嘅經濟收益。
而且我哋喺現有村落同埋舊建築設立傳統工藝工作坊同埋網上文創平台，宣傳同埋售賣傳統工藝，結合創科同埋文化保育，借鑑台北大道情，喺活化呢啲文化守護要地嘅同時，增加收入，達到喺唔損壞建築物嘅前提下，繼續發展北部都會區嘅效果。與此同時，我哋亦可以將新界嘅舊倉庫同埋鄰舍改造為文化市集同埋共享工作室，例如迎豐米精酒廠同埋八鄉蓮花地，可以分別改為新界糧食文化館同埋本土藝術創作基地。
為咗串聯呢啲文化據點，我哋可以規劃文化巴士路線，帶領訪客由上水客家圍出發，途經塱原濕地嘅生態農場，然後去到沙頭角嘅故事館，最後抵達沙頭角之角。車上亦都可以配備 AR 導覽系統，令旅客可以透過科技深入了解每個景點背後嘅故事。
我哋亦建議政府參考宋皇臺地鐵站嘅考古隧道，喺北部都會區嘅地鐵站設置文化主題地下街，將地下商鋪優先租俾啲本地文創品牌，同時亦可以喺月台嘅牆壁展示互動展覽，透過電子屏幕播放北部非物質文化遺產技藝嘅短片，宣揚北部文化。另一方面，我哋建議政府可以實行地下空間開發，釋放地面用地，保留文化景觀。而且我哋建議發展地下商場嘅時候，預留30% 嘅店鋪推動文創產業。
而發展地下商場嘅成功與否，在於以下幾個方面。第一，人流熱點，我哋可以喺地鐵站同埋住宅區呢啲人流鼎盛嘅地方發展地下空間，即係而家地圖顯示嘅粉紅色位置。因為人流多可以帶動地下商場嘅經濟，盡量發揮地下商場振興經濟嘅作用。
而值得注意嘅係，我哋亦都唔可以漠視新自然保育地點。為咗保護北部都會區豐富嘅生態環境，我哋篩選咗新自然保育地點200米嘅緩衝區。地圖所標示嘅紫色範圍就係最適合發展地下商場嘅地方。
另外，我哋亦都建議繼續發展現有嘅購物商場，將佢哋進一步發展成地下商場。過程中，我哋發現適合發展地下商場嘅地方附近有唔少巴士站，充分展現地下商場便利嘅交通配套。
最後就等我哋嚟介紹下我哋嘅模型展品。我哋嘅展品採用縱切面設計，將傳統同埋現代並置。上方係松嶺鄧公祠嘅剖面模型，內設陶瓷工作坊傳承技藝，下方就係地下商場，融合文化同埋商業。
首先係傳統建築區，祠堂模型以紙板搭建，然後加上現實公祠有嘅牌位，再製作黏土人，佢哋就喺度參與製作新界陶瓷嘅傳統工藝工作坊，旨在提升公眾對文化保育嘅認識同埋參與感。
地下商場規劃4大區域。第一，我哋根據宋皇臺地鐵站展覽嘅概念，製作北部文化雲嘅地鐵展覽廳，展示新界文物，例如醬油缸、圍頭茶果等等。第二，我哋設計咗北部文化雲嘅文創店，售賣特色商品。第三，我哋利用 3D 打印技術，打印出北部都會區發展模擬展品，亦都希望會設有互動屏幕，等訪客可以了解北部都會區嘅發展趨勢。最後，我哋透過時裝店體現經濟活力。
透過呢個可以自給自足嘅微經濟圈，我哋展現發展同埋保育如何共生，思考文化傳承嘅創新可能。
總括而言，我哋嘅方案正正可以達到發展與保育雙贏嘅目的。政府唔使再硬性徵地，同時透過文化旅遊振興經濟，打造香港獨特嘅國際形象。而新界居民亦都唔需要犧牲家園，反而可以藉住文創產業獲取收入來源，實現自主發展。
發展唔應該係文化嘅終點，而係創新嘅起點。而家機會就喺眼前，關鍵在於行動。讓我哋一齊開創北部都會區文化保育嘅新篇章。
唔該晒咁多位 ，thank you。好，接住落嚟就係評審嘅發問時間啦。咁睇下邊位評審咧都想問問題嘅。好，咁有請我哋嘅 Chief Judge。
我見到你哋咧都好好啊，都好全面啦，同埋即係都應該做咗好多唔少嘅 research 嘅。咁可唔可以講下咧？其實你哋成個過程，你哋用咗幾多時間做呢個 research？ 同埋我見到你哋都用咗好多嘅空間數據啦，去做一啲唔同嘅分析，從而咧就係去揾一啲適合嘅地方咁樣啦。可唔可以即係再分享多啲你哋即係個過程係點樣樣，同埋用嘅時間係用咗幾多啊？
其實本身呢，即係呢個比賽佢係有一個 mock 嘅 presentation 啦。咁 mock 之前其實我哋用嘅空間數據係比較少啦。咁我哋聽咗嗰陣嗰啲 judge 嘅評語，同埋佢哋都俾咗唔少嘅意見我哋啦，就同我哋講話可以加嗰啲巴士路線啊，咁樣令到成個 map 都可以全面啲。咁我哋嗰陣係10號 map mock 啦。咁之後連續幾日，我哋都一直喺度喺 CSDI portal 嘅網站啦，就一直喺度揾緊啲數據咁，同埋我哋嘅老師啦都有幫我哋諗下有咩 variable 可以加落個 map。咁成個過程可能你當10號之後，我哋都一直喺度搞緊呢個比賽。多謝。
都好快脆用咗好多空間數據幫到你哋做呢個 presentation， 我覺得做得非常之好嘅。
好，咁睇下有冇下一條嘅問題。好，我哋有請鄺教授。
係好多謝你哋嘅 presentation。因為即係真係會照顧到有個人民關懷喺度，咁所以就即係雖然呢個係講空間數據嘅，咁但係即係你起碼會知道就係嗰啲數字背後係人嚟嘅。咁有陣時有啲 presentation 未必可以咁反映到呢樣嘢。咁所以好多謝你哋呢個 presentation。咁但係咧，我又要現實啲啦，即係做文創咧就好蝕錢嘅好多時，咁有冇啲咩諗法可以令到佢即係個個搞文創咁，但係有幾多個真係會做到咧咁樣？咁所以有冇啲咩諗法係話點樣可以真係幫到佢哋咧？嗰啲村嗰啲特色嘅嘢點樣真係可以維持到咧？即係總唔可以一路要政府資助諸如此類噶嘛？咁有咩辦法可以長遠咁 sustain 呢件事咧？係多謝。
我哋個模型上面呢，就係一個新界陶瓷嘅傳統工藝工作坊啦。咁我哋亦都有諗過會唔會製作咗嘅陶瓷啦，因為佢哋客家人佢哋自己都會製作一啲陶瓷啦。咁就會放喺地下商場入面嘅文創店度賣咯。咁我哋文創店亦都結合咗一啲關於北部都會區嘅一啲可能有啲發展嗰陣時佢哋有啲圖咁樣啦。咁我哋就會融合咗落去嗰啲產品嗰度啦，然後就即係盡量將上面嗰啲客家嘅人啦，佢哋嘅作品咧就放喺下面度賣啦。咁佢哋一嚟可以喺呢一度傳授下呢個技藝，二嚟佢哋可以喺下面就有呢個收入來源咁樣，咁就可以實現翻呢個自主發展咁樣。
好，我哋仲有啲時間，睇下會唔會有評審都有問題想了解多啲。好，我哋有請廖生。
Hello。我有問到個問題咧，就係你哋呢個即係 project 有一系列嘅建議啦，咁樣樣，可唔可以講多少少就係呢個空間數據咧，係點樣幫到你哋去諗到呢啲咁嘅建議出嚟咧？另外就係關於頭先你呢個模型咧，就你諗到喺上邊就即係可能有個即係比較有歷史價值嘅建築就保留，下邊就做一個地底嘅空間發展。有冇諗過其他嘅一啲可行性，就係會係比較有成本效益啲，或者係冇咁可能會破壞到啲建築嘅方法，都可以做到呢一個功效嘅咧嚇？
咁我哋先答你第一個問題啦。 咁喺我哋個 story map 入面咧，我哋就揾咗好多唔同方面嘅 variable 啦。除咗即係喺文化方面咧，我哋就會揾咗一啲文物徑啦。咁就有我哋見到新界北部咧係有2條文物徑嘅，咁我哋就製作咗一啲 buffer 啦，咁就可以令到發展嘅時候，我哋就要關注翻嗰啲位，就唔好進行太多嘅發展，即係我哋唔好侵蝕咗嗰啲 buffer zone 嘅地方，咁就可以盡量唔好破壞到呢啲文化建築嘅時候咧，咁隔離都有一路做緊發展嘅。咁另外我哋都揾多咗2個 data 啦，就係法定古蹟同埋已評級歷史建築物，咁就係又係製作一啲緩衝區啦。咁嗰啲市民咧係一路可以喺入面進出參觀，但係咧佢哋喺隔離咧亦都可以觀賞到而家發展緊，即係兼顧翻呢2個方面咁樣。跟住我哋亦都即係諗多啲 variable 啦，咁我哋就揾好多嘅地啦。
唔好意思啊，因為時間關係，我哋用一句 wrap up 好唔好啊？
好，咁我哋就係結合咗空間數據唔同嘅方面，例如保育啦、文化嘅要點啦，同埋政府嘅一啲空置物業、棕地等等，咁就去揾翻一啲替代方案，去唔好侵蝕到文化之餘，可以為文化做一個收入來源咁樣咯。
好，thank you，唔該晒 ，thank you，多謝你哋，多謝晒。好。 接住落嚟呢，就係1177D 福田，我哋現在開始計時。
各位老师、各位专家，大家好，我是贺本涵。我参赛的题目是鸟迹汇率、数据赋能未来生态。我们生活在深圳，周末当我们去公园里玩，总能看到成群的候鸟在这里飞来飞去，加上晚霞漂亮极了。这些候鸟已经把大湾区当成了自己的家，我们和候鸟是同住在这里的朋友。鸟类是我们国家的保护动物，在香港的野生动物保护条例和中国的重点保护野生动物名录中，都对大湾区的鸟类进行了等级划分，如国家一级保护鸟类有黑脸琵鹭等。全国共有8条候鸟迁徙路线，其中经过香港、深圳的东亚、澳大利亚迁徙路线是鸟类种类最多，也是鸟类面临威胁最大的路线。每年约5000万只水鸟都要经过这唯一的迁徙线。香港和深圳都对鸟类进行了很多保护措施，在香港有米埔自然保护区，在深圳也有红树林保护区，这里应该就是鸟类们嬉戏的活动乐园了。城市的发展也会使鸟类在迁徙途中遇到很大的风险。在加拿大和美国，每年都有因鸟撞窗户而致命的事件。这张图片是芝加哥鸟撞事件。在香港鸟撞玻璃报告中指出，在候鸟迁徙的11月、12月及3月，记录到很多鸟撞击事件，占全部的62%。此外，夜间灯光也会对鸟类，尤其是迁徙中的鸟类产生显著的负面影响。2022年候鸟日的标语就是熄灯，让候鸟安全回家，希望城市建设能够更好地保护鸟类。目前我们获取数据的方法有2种，第一种是调查法，我们通过查阅香港鸟类分布地图2016至2019，发现香港的鸟类调查数据是有很多志愿者去实地考察获得的。将香港分成1583个1平方公里的网格，将调查数据填入表格中进行汇总。调查的成果也以网格专题图的形式进行展示。调查结果还可以做成网站，可以交互式查询。调查结果还可以分开成每种鸟类按不同时间阶段的专题图，比如想要查找繁殖季节的黑脸琵鹭，可以看到相应的专题图。康奈尔大学有一个 eBirds 的网站，里面也是调查数据，志愿者的数据会在地图上。香港也有很多志愿者经常在上面贡献自己的数据，我们也可以下载 eBird 数据集。但是调查法比较耗费人力，而且定位不精准，数据缺少连续性，适合做数据的统计。第二种方法是轨迹追踪法，在 WWF 的官网上有一个候鸟卫星追踪的研究项目，根据不同鸟的脚鳍给它们设置编号和名字，也做了相应的网站来查询结果，但是目前网站数据无法获取，鸟类的轨迹也无法在地图上展示。我们在深圳也找到了类似的项目，拿到了部分水鸟的位置数据，还有鸟类飞行的高度、速度、获取位置和时间等非常有价值的数据。通过查询鸟类相关名称和标准，我们对数据进行初步的清理，目前用于本次比赛的有3年左右。轨迹追踪数据可以找到鸟类的具体位置和迁徙路线，比较适合对鸟类生活习性的研究。有了这些数据，我们就有了研究方向。我们现在有几个问题：1. 候鸟的迁徙路线和中途休息点在哪里？2. 不同鸟类对栖息地的选择是相同还是不同？3. 鸟类保护动物在城市中该如何生存？4. 鸟类在空中飞行会不会与飞机或无人机冲突？5. 北部都会区的发展该如何与保护鸟类相适应？研究方法是这样的：我们将鸟的 GPS 位置和鸟的名称与种类结合起来，再加入鸟类调查数据，把它载入 CSDI 地图中，就可以获得鸟类位置全图了。这是成果展示，候鸟迁徙路线和停留点在这里。这是黑脸琵鹭，它是我们国家重要的保护动物。经过3年数据收集，我们可以看到它们的轨迹。这是2号黑脸琵鹭的迁徙路线，我们可以看到从3至4月开始，它们离开大湾区到北方繁殖，从每年10至11月从北方回到大湾区。这是4号黑脸琵鹭的迁徙路线，这是6号黑脸琵鹭的迁徙路线。 如何找到黑脸琵鹭的栖息地呢？我们选取速度等于0的黑脸琵鹭位置。黑脸琵鹭主要栖息地就在香港的米埔自然保护区，栖息时间集中在10月底至12月初。这是黑市长角域的位置及迁徙路线，这是池鹭的迁徙路线，这是红角域的迁徙路线，这是泽域的迁徙路线，还有中标域的迁徙路线。除了迁徙的鸟类，还有大量的鸟类习惯了在大湾区生活，成为本地的留鸟。这是青角域，它们的轨迹呈分散状，每一只都与其他活动分开。这是黑尾橙域，这是金斑衡，这是红角域，这是绿翅鸭。我们发现从2022年4月至9月，它们在米埔附近，但是11月就到了九龙，这个原因还没有找到。这是蒙古沙衡。水鸟们并不是全部时间都在沙滩或红树林中生活，还有一部分在城市中游荡。城市中不仅有它们需要的食物，也有它们适应的生活环境。在沙浦头和景田等地，靠近湿地和河道，有充足的食物供鸟类获取。在九龙佛光街公园等地，树木茂盛，供鸟类休息。鸟类在空中长时间飞行，不仅会受到周边自然环境的影响，也会受到人工环境的影响。所以我们要在鸟类迁徙路线中形成空中的沙河，在后续航道规划和建筑设计上，避免和沙河产生冲突，影响鸟类的生活。这是我们制作的空中沙河。从图上看，我们的鸟类生活区域与北部都会区关系紧密，不仅有国家保护动物黑脸琵鹭的迁徙路线，还有很多鸟类的休息地。所以我们建议在北部都会区划定限制区域，对区域内的土地规定用途，限制建筑物建设高度，减少玻璃幕墙的建筑，尽量让我们的鸟类朋友在北部都会区与城市发展和谐共处。这张图上发光部分就是我们的限制区域。鸟类是我们的朋友，粤港澳大湾区不仅是我们的家，也是他们的家。很多需要保护的鸟类都住在北部都会区。我们希望用数据帮助我们的鸟类朋友在这里与人们和谐共处。未来的北部都会区不应该是钢筋水泥的森林，而是生意盎然的生态之城、活力之城。这个展示图呢，是我们根据鸟类沙河图制作的。我们看到鸟类本来的轨迹应该是这样子行走，但是因为建筑物的障碍性，所以说它已经拐了弯。我们如果要把建筑物调整的话，需要先进规划区域，将建筑物的位置往其他地方放，尽可能的保证鸟类迁徙路线不会受到干扰。谢谢大家。
好，感谢同学精彩的分享。我们现在有一个评审的发问环节，我们现在请评审用普通话可以问我们的同学问题吧？有没有问题？好，问一下张博士。
哎，你好，非常有意思的项目啊。我有2个问题，第一个就是大湾区有多少种鸟类是属于保护动物啊？第二个呢，就是在你绘制这个鸟类空中沙河的时候，你用到了哪些数据，或者是考虑了哪些因素？
这个在深圳大湾区和那个香港的其实都是有数据的，在这个保护条例中可以看到，香港所有鸟类及它们的巢与蛋都应该受到条例的保护。然后在这个条例中也有它们鸟类的，比如说这个黑鸢和这些鸟类，它们其实都是保护动物。然后在大湾区的其他的还有黑脸琵鹭和白琵鹭，还有一些池鹭等，这些鸟类其实都是保护动物。然后在制作这个沙河的时候，我们是用到了一些深圳的我们的调查数据，就是根据深圳的数据把它载入这个 CSDI 的地图，然后再放到这个 ArcGIS 里面就可以看到了。
谢谢。
好，我们看一下还有没有其他的问题。王博士。
我觉得这个是非常有意义的一个 project 一个项目。我想问的问题其实很简单，就是最后只是你得出一个图，就是你研究的一些候鸟，或者是在香港 住的一些鸟类，它们的分布，对不对？然后你比对一下，比如说在香港，我们现在比如说经常说无人机香港政府也有一个献祭你觉得你得出来的一个数据、一个分析的案例，跟我们现在政府定的一个经费区有没有个冲突？而且有没有什么建议？就是说，如果未来我们还要把这个管制就加强的说话，应该怎么做？
在之前我们查过，其实香港是有无人机撞鸟的事件的。然后通过我们绘制的这个限制区域图，可以看到不仅是建筑物，其实无人机也是需要限制的。在图中发光部分是我们根据鸟类飞行轨迹开了20米的缓冲区，这个区域内应该是要限制无人机的飞行的。
我们现在还有一点点时间，看看有没有其他的问题。廖先生。
我想问的是，今天你一个人来，我想问这个项目是你一个人做，还是有其他同学一起做呢？
其实是由我和我爸爸一起制作的。
好，还有没有其他的问题？如果没有的话，好，非常感谢同学精彩的分享，谢谢。 Hello，歡迎咁多位翻嚟我哋空間數據共享平台大獎2025嘅作品匯報日。我哋接住會繼續組別以初中組嘅匯報，接住呢一隊呢就係0733D Winner Winner Chicken Dinner。我哋現在開始計時。
Welcome everyone. Today we're stepping into the paws of a lovable dog who wants to share its stories amidst the challenges faced by stray dogs in Hong Kong. Particularly in light of the Northern Metropolis development, the documentary Moga sheds light on these struggles, showcasing universal desire for love and safety that every dog deserves. It also addresses the misunderstandings and stigma surrounding stray dogs, calling for compassion and improved animal welfare.
Imagine a future where no dogs has to roam the cold streets. I dream of a world where every dog finds a safe and loving home. Unfortunately, that dream feels far away for many of us. In 2023, around 18,000 dogs are humanely euthanized in Hong Kong, and the Northern Metropolis development is worsening the situation, pushing families into smaller flats and leaving many pets abandoned.
Closer look at some of the key issues in Hong Kong. There have been high euthanasia and low adoption rates. The city primarily uses euthanasia to address the stray problem, yet adoption rates remain low at only 30% annually. There's also overpopulation and shelter overcrowding for stray dogs in Hong Kong, where the population is estimated to be around 10,000. There are 14 dog shelters in the city, but only 4 are funded by the government of Hong Kong, with a total capacity of just 1,020 spaces. The remaining dogs depend on NGOs like Hong Kong Dog Rescue, which are also operating far beyond their capacity.
We've got to act fast. Every one of us dogs deserves a warm, loving home to call our own. Don't let us face these lonely streets alone.
So, how has the development of the Northern Metropolis affected our dogs?
I've heard stories from my friends. Some end up at the Animal Management Center. The AFCD tries to find their owners if they have microchips, but if no one claims them, they wait for adoption. The development plan of Northern Metropolis is a wrecking ball. If these wrecking balls fall, shelters may face relocation. This is because 8 of Hong Kong's 14 shelters are located in the Northern Metropolis. At that time, we may be starving in the streets or even euthanized.
Sadly, these are not hypothetical situations, and they're happening right now at the moment. The Companion Animal Federation and Stray Planet in Sha Tau Kok are in a tough spot, turning away 15 dogs every month because their kennels are overflowing and resources are stretched thin. They're also worried about the Northern Metropolis development, as finding a new place to relocate in the increasingly urbanized Northern District feels like a daunting challenge.
The development of the North Metropolis not only affects the shelters, but also increased the abandoned dog. When villagers move to newly built homes, especially public housing estates, with strict no-pet policies, they are forced to leave dogs like us behind, like a shadow cut off from its owner. We are left alone.
In 2019, there were 1,800 and 400 dogs in Hong Kong, so on average, one pet is owned by every 41 people. We expect that the dog ownership in the village is 3 times higher than average, which means that one pet is owned by every 14 people. According to a Legislative Council document, around 6,000 villages will be affected by a Northern Metropolis plan. It can be seen that estimated a staggering number of 300 to 500 dogs could end up homeless in the next 10 years with their families shattered. This isn't just losing a home, it is a breaking of promise, leaving loyal pups in a concrete jungle with no way home.
The Northern Metropolis development is hitting stray dogs hard, shrinking the open spaces where we chase joy and freedom. In spaces like Santine, one of the first areas slated for development, Hong Kong's village dogs have roamed farmlands, wetlands, and greenbelts, finding solace in these natural playgrounds. But now, waves of highways, high-rises, and rehousing estates are swallowing these vital spaces, trading lush green belts for cold concrete. Using ArcG's area calculations, we found that approximately 1,127 hectares of precious green spaces, critical for our well-being, are set to be replaced. An interactive map highlights the threat. On one side, it shows the agricultural, recreational, and and greenbelt areas that have long served as informal sanctuaries for dogs. On the other, it refuels planned infrastructure projects like in Yau Tam Mei and Santin that endangered local dog shelters. These rural havens, including wetlands that have quietly doubled as safe spaces for strays, are absent from the development plans, putting our shelters at risk and leaving us with nowhere to run, play, or feel at home.
Due to these rapid development, we have fewer space to wander around and have fun. So, where in the northern metropolis should the dog shelters be built in?
Well, when selecting locations for dog shelters, 4 key criteria must be considered. First, accessibility for volunteers is crucial. A site within 500 meters of a planned railway station will encourage more people to contribute their time. It is also important to be at least 100 meters away from residential areas to minimize noise and hygiene issues.
Additionally, the shelter should be located away from major rivers to prevent flooding and contamination, ensuring the safety of the animals. Finally, positioning the shelter in rural or low-pressure areas near green belts provides a calm environment that benefits dogs' physical and mental health.
Exactly. Places like the Hongshui-Qiu Village Zone, Tai Kuling Rural Zone, Satin Greenbelt Area, and the Aotamei Conservation are perfect places in the metropolis to build dog shelters, as they all fit the criteria mentioned. They're all rural or low-pressure areas that avoid the risks of urban development. Also, the community is accepting of dogs, as local support can make a big difference.
What about the shelters?
Each shelter will have secure indoor and outdoor kennels with proper ventilation and drainage. We'll set up separate sections of quarantine and special needs dogs to keep everyone safe. We'll have a basic veterinary clinic with a sterilization suite and isolation areas to prevent disease. Plus, there'll be storage for all the necessary equipment. Yes, we'll also create soundproof rooms for anxious dogs and outdoor spaces with agility equipment for fun and stimulation.
How do we find homes?
We'll include an adoption center with inviting meet and greet spaces and educational displays to promote responsible ownership. You know, there are some successful strategies from other countries to alleviate the problem of the increasing number of stray dogs. One of them portrays how Japan helps stray dogs like you. They have this clever strategy. Instead of keeping pups in shelters long term, they send 70% of them to foster homes.
Foster homes? Like temporary families?
Yes, shelters that focus on vet care and adoption events, while foster families give dogs love. It means fewer crowded kennels and more pups learning how to be part of a home.
But what if the humans don't keep us?
Even short stays help. Foster families teach dogs like you house manners, so when in the right forever family comes along, you're ready.
So more wagging, less waiting?
Perfect way to put it. And shelters safe place for dogs who really need emergency care.
Can Hong Kong do this too?
It's possible, but it needs people willing to open their homes even for a little while.
Guess what? To ease the problem of the increasing number of stray dogs, I made a plan to help stray dogs like you. It is all about building safe spaces for dogs in Hong Kong.
Really? No more sleeping in alleys or dodging cars?
Exactly. From 2025 to 2026, we'll be scouting locations in the northern metropolis, opening spaces where shelters can be built.
And from 2027 to 2030, we'll start building those shelters. Plus, there'll be campaigns to find dogs forever homes.
What about after 2030?
By 2031, we'll expand. More shelters, vet clinics, even training programs. Imagine, medical care, play groups, and humans learning to be better pet owners.
So, no more no space excuses? No more turning dogs away?
That's the goal. It will take time, but every step means fewer puppies left behind.
Tell the humans thank you and hurry up.
We will promise.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. 咁而家咧，我哋就會去到評審嘅發問環節啦。咁睇下邊一位評審咧都有啲問題想問咁多位嘅參加者嘅。我哋嘅 Chief Judge。
我想問一問啦，咁你哋都做咗個 research 喺新加坡咧，都有一個即係好即係比較大型一個嘅shelter 嘅。你覺得其實香港可唔可以起呢一個 shelter 或者個選址其實同你哋之前嘅 analysis 會唔會有啲唔同咧個 consideration？
其實都應該會差唔多，因為始終新加坡同香港都係一個差唔多大細嘅城市啦。咁而我覺得香港可以參考翻新加坡，佢係有啲比較對狗仔係友善嘅政策啦，就係例如佢有啲 reduce operation costs without compromising welfare standards 嘅政策咁樣啦。而我覺得香港暫時如果以呢個 North Metropolis 嚟講咧，佢都因為可以以一個成個計劃咁樣參考翻新加坡咁樣就大概
提一提大家答問題時可以近少少，咁我哋更加清楚會聽到。好，睇下仲有冇其他問題。好，我哋有請鄺教授。
哦，冇啊，我覺得嗰個 model 好靚，我可唔可以攞過嚟睇下啫？
咁而家咧就係我哋 Q&A 嘅 section 啦。咁與此同時，我哋嘅參觀者咧就而家展示緊佢哋嘅 model 嘅。好，咁我哋仲有啲時間睇下有冇問題想問，係咪黃博士都想問啊？嗯。
Well, I think I'm a dog lover, so I think I'm kind of like your project. But I do have some question regarding the data that you use. For example, I think one of the purpose of this project is to locate the dog shelter, right? So you like to hope to find a suitable dog shelter on top of what we have right now. So I can see that actually there's not much data about the location of the stray dogs, right? I think this is it's very hard to get this kind of data. So suppose if you have the data, okay, telling you where are those stray dogs located, do you think that can improve your project? Oh, another way to ask this question is, do you find any difficulties like in your project in terms of the data?
It was so it's indeed it's quite difficult because dogs is not a very common discussion item in Hong Kong. So we've got some help from our teachers. So they helped us to because our teacher is also a dog lover. So they helped us to like find some data about stray dogs in especially North Metropolises. And so and during our project, we've focused on where exactly are there stray dogs, and we've considered some locations that matches our criteria to fit for our dog shelter, so such as like 500 meters beside some railways and not close to some rivers to prevent flooding and somehow.
I think it doesn't matter because, you know, for every single project, you do face some constraints in terms of data, in terms of analysis, but I think you have to spell it out, especially in the end of your presentation, right? This is something that we cannot do, and so you let us know, okay, some of these hardships that you face in the project. But overall, I think you did a good job. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
我哋仲有大概40零秒，睇下仲有冇其他嘅問題。好，如果冇嘅話 ，thank you so much for your presentation，thank you， 多謝晒。咁呢個時候可以咧帶同你嘅作品咧向右邊咧離場嘅，接住落嚟。 好啦，接住落嚟咧，下一隊就係0768D Underline，現在開始計時。
Good morning, all judges. In a changing modern landscape, spatial data is indubitably more relevant than ever. It has become the most vital tool to find solutions to geographical problems, empowering planners to be more data-driven, equitable, and efficient. The question that remains is, how do we use it effectively? Through our project, we hope to show our process of manipulating spatial data in formulating our solutions to our concern with the development of the new Northern Metropolis area, also known as the NNMA, sourcing alternative energy, namely through wind energy. To fuel this metropolis, the matter of sourcing clean energy will be the foremost consideration. Sustainable energy ensures harmonic development alongside the environment and the economy. Through sustainable sourcing, we not only mitigate the risk of depleting non-renewable resources, but also provide a more agreeable living environment by reducing energy-related pollutants. Our solution is the wind tree.
So finding the optimum mix of renewable energy source is essential for a sustainable future. So to determine the best combination, we analyze some key factors, such as the spatial and geographical characteristics of NNMA, which comprises of floodplains in Fanling and Yunlong, northeast mountain ranges, various wetlands, river networks, and the Deep Bay area. With this, we must assess initial investments against long-term savings while considering environmental impacts.
Here is the wind tree, a recent innovation that we think is the most suitable for the NNMA alongside its development. Let's take a closer look at them. The 10-meter tall wind tree features vertical axis all-round turbines called aeroleaf that capture air and generate 3,500 to 36,000 kilowatt-hour annually. The tree has gained popularity internationally, with numerous installations in countries like France, Singapore, India, Venezuela, etc. Wind trees offer advantages over traditional turbines, such as their silent operation, turbulence resistance, and their ability to operate under lower wind conditions. They can be installed in urban areas, residential areas, parks, and public spaces, offering localized energy for specific needs like streetlights or charging points. Public recreation parks are ideal for wind tree installations due to their visually green branding and aesthetic appeal. These structures complement blue-green infrastructure and preserve park tranquility, attracting public acceptance. Wind trees can also provide localized energy for lighting park lamps, information kiosks, and mobile device charging stations, offering dependence on renewable energy in populated areas without the noise and visual pollution of traditional wind turbines, makes them perfectly aligned with the NMNA's objective of merging high living standards with eco-friendly lifestyles.
Now, as part of our analysis, we wanted to identify areas with the largest wind speeds in the NNMA. To do this, we first needed to retrieve data of the wind speed and wind direction across 29 different weather stations from the HKO. Now, these anemometers are interspersed across the city in places like Wagon Island, Sha Chao, North Point, and many other places. We then input all of this data into a master data sheet containing over 20,000 days of data, dating all the way back to 1975. We then sort the mode of the wind direction and the mean of the wind speed and separate them into their own sections of each of the seasons. After the data is prepared, we then move on to ArcGIS, where ArcGIS Pro, from the original point, the IW2 is used to interpolate a raster service for both wind speed and wind direction. Next, fishnets and points are created for further vector analysis. We then extract these values to these points, making them into vectors and have their own estimated wind speed and wind direction. We then repeat the step for each of the seasons and move it back to standard ArcGIS to show you something like this. Now, for spring, you see that winds are coming from the east at a moderate pace of around 12 to 14 kilometers per hour. Now, if we move on to summer, we see that winds are coming from the south a tad bit higher at 12 to 15 kilometers per hour. Autumn shows a bit more fluctuations from place to place, with coastal regions having much greater wind speeds than inland regions, with wind speeds coming from the north at around 12 to 15 kilometers per, 10 to 16 kilometers per hour. And finally, winds from the north are coming from the north at 12 to 15 kilometers per hour. What we see from this is that coastal regions generally have a high wind speed, and with places like Lao Fo Shan and Deep Bay area, their wind speed is much greater to compare to places like inland regions. And a closer look shows that some of these places receive 20 to 30 kilometers per hour of windy days, and with the highs peaking at 58 kilometers per hour, which is why we propose to develop wind trees in Lao Fo Shan. However, lots of regions in the northern metropolis will be developed into urban areas, so we want to look into where wind trees can be built in urban settings. This is why we propose a pilot study to be built in the Fanling area. So here's our steps. First, we need to locate the two main TPUs in the Fanling built-up area, that being TPU 625 and 628. Next, we retrieve data for the occupied space of buildings, and then we set 6-meter buffers for each of these buildings to filter away all the unusable land space. This is needed to be done as wind trees need to occupy a bit of space as well as they need a bit more openness for efficiency. We then need to move on to finding open space in an urban setting, most of these being an open space land use, as we need to determine the suitable land that can allow for wind tree development. And finally, we overlay all these layers to find all the available land for wind tree development.
So next, let's delve into the calculations. So by employing some advanced modeling techniques, we can conduct a comprehensive analysis of the energy generation, potential, and consumption dynamics. So for instance, if the wind tree produces around 214,000 kWh in a regular lifespan, under some optimal conditions, we can assess the cumulative output based on the wind speed data and its efficiency. So using these data points, we can create a multi-variable optimization model that factors in energy demand forecast. So resources availability and cost considerations. So by applying some techniques such as linear programming, we can identify the optimal condition of the solar and wind energy that minimize costs while meeting the community's energy demands. Through this rigorous analytical approach, we can pinpoint the most efficient and sustainable energy mix for Northern Metropolis, ensuring a resilient future for our community.
Now, from the analysis we conducted, we discovered that Lao Fao Shan is the optimal site for the installation of wind trees because they have the strongest winds in all 4 seasons. Under NDA planning, the development proposals for Lao Fao Shan aim to establish it as a high-end hub for professional services and logistics. And we recommend integrating wind power sourcing into its planning and including wind trees in the green open spaces, because given that many employees there will be well-paid experts, creating a comfortable working environment there is essential. Now, as for the pilot study in Fanling, we propose to install wind trees in open areas to assess their efficiency, as well as collecting local responses to the technology. This will help us understand preferences and adapt future development plans. Here are some suggested locations for the pilot program. We have the North District Park, Fanling Honlock Park, the Wu Tip Shan area, and Yatming Road Park.
The pilot study in Fanling will inform the development of wind trees in Lao Fao Shan along the coast or at the former police station site. We know addressing climate change is a critical challenge. This is the necessity of getting information from the pilot, making it possible for future plans to incorporate strategies for reducing carbon footprints and achieving net zero emissions. We hold belief in the importance of renewable energy to offset greenhouse gas emissions. The road to resolving climate change is thorny. Still, we must take action now to prevent irreversible damage to our environment. Thank you.
Thank you， 多謝晒你哋嘅匯報。咁接住落嚟咧，係我哋要 show 好，冇問題。
Different seasons. Yeah.
Thank you， 多謝晒。咁接住落嚟咧就係我哋評審嘅問答環節啦。咁睇下邊一位評審咧有問題可以問下我哋嘅參加者。好，有請張博士。
Thank you for your presentation. I have a question. What's the power generation efficiency of the wind tree?
Yeah, so it's like in a regular lifespan, it's around 214,000 kWh.
I mean the efficiency. What's the percent can the wind tree convert the sustainable energy to?
Around 70%.
70%. Okay. And in the calculations, your calculations based on the historical data?
Yes. So in the reference we already showed. Yeah, so we use data from the urban wind tree generate electricity from the breeze script, the second reference. We use data from here.
Did the wind tree include any MPPT algorithm?
Sorry?
Do you know the max power point track algorithm?
Yes. So refer back to the calculation. The max point is around. Pardon me. Do you mean the max point is like the max efficiency?
No. Do you know and max power point track algorithm?
Oh, the algorithm. Sorry, we didn't show the algorithm here because so we mentioned we use some modeling skills such as the linear programming. The reason we talk about this is because this we can generate into the general formula, and the general formula we can find the upper bound and lower bound of each variables from the second reference. So actually we mentioned this is because we want to show the lower bound and upper bound. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
OK， 咁睇下仲有冇評審都有問題想問下我哋嘅參賽隊伍。好，我哋嘅主評審。
我有兩個問題嘅。第一個問題咧就係你哋都有 consider 到唔同嘅 wind。香港嗰個地勢就係山多咁樣嘅，咁你哋有冇考慮過用一啲嘅 3D 嘅 data 去睇下嗰個 wind speed？即係喺唔同嘅香港嘅地區嗰個情況係點啦。咁第二個問題咧就係、其實呢個 project 最後個申言就係、會收集到好多嘅即係 electricity， 即係唔同嘅 energy 嘅。有冇再去諗下其實你收集到嗰啲 energy 其實將來或者係個 planning 係會愛嚟點樣用咧？點樣用落個社區嗰度咧？咁樣。
So for the first question about like whether we use a 3D surface. So for most of our estimations, we did focus more on a 2D surface, but I believe ultimately it's not the most important, as if we look back at where we found as the developed area, most of it will be coastal regions, so I don't believe 3D surface will be too affecting on our estimations. And as La Fourchane already has an anemometer on the wind speed, I believe the data should be accurate enough. As for the second question about where we can use the energy, I believe most of the energy we plan to generate are going to be focused on local use in the NNMA. And as specified from here, we're going to use it for different places like information kiosk, charging, all these different uses in these open areas, as well as hopefully if we can put it onto a larger scale, local powering homes. But we have to see further onto whether we can develop that much farther into the development of wind trees in La Fourchane.
係對於第一條問題，我有少少 add on 嘅，係雖然我哋而家 show 出嚟係一個 2D 嘅啦，但其實因為我哋用嘅 data 係足夠大，佢喺香港每一個 point 其實佢 show 佢個 data 係 obtained from the 3D， 不過我哋展現嘅係 2D 嘅啫，係啊，即係話其實個影響都係相若嘅，係唔該。
我哋大概仲有幾十秒嘅時間，睇下仲有冇問題想問。如果好，我哋。有請黃博士。
一個quick comment 咧，因為我見到你用嘅 data 咧，其實喺天文台啦攞啦，係咪？咁天文台其實係度一啲比較大環境嘅一啲嘅數據，但係當你哋話你要將呢啲 wind tree 係 plan 落去一啲 parks 嘅時候咧，其實我哋講緊一個微氣候環境，即係周邊嘅環境其實會影響到嗰個公園，即係就同可能你哋喺天文台攞嗰個數，未必係一個咁精準嘅一個數去做呢個 planning。咁但係我明嘅，即係如果你要真係度到微氣候咧，其實要花好多功夫啦。 去做嘅。咁所以如果你真係揀咗個地方，譬如流浮山你要做嘅話咧，咁我諗你可以即係下一步做多少少，真係攞個嘢去度一度，同你哋本身天文台個數據係咪真係有一個差距喺度？
係咁對於呢一個，首
我哋
先多謝黃博士。
係，但時間已經到啦，唔緊要啦，我哋袋住個 comment 先好唔好？都唔該晒你哋非常精彩嘅分享 ，thank you。咁而家可以喺右邊離場嘅。好啦，我哋嚟到下一隊啦，就係0773D Beyond the Blueprint。我哋現在開始計時。
Good afternoon, judges. Today, we would like to discuss an important issue on how the development of a northern metropolis overshadows the significance of agriculture, and how we can resolve this problem by promoting agritourism and farm-to-table. First of all, an article from the Hong Kong Free Press mentioned that the Hong Kong local food production has decreased sharply to a mere 1.7%, which hinders our food self-sufficiency by heavily relying on food imports. And one major cause of this decline is the rapid urban encroachment in the northern New Territories. Moreover, a full-time farmer expressed his concerns over the development overshadowing the city's agriculture. In other words, Hong Kong is experiencing agricultural loss since the development of a northern metropolis, and we urge the need to recognize and address the negative impacts on local farming. Therefore, we aim to boost the local food production and educate people on the crisis of our vanishing agricultural land. We raised 3 research questions regarding our aim and selected favorable locations to implement our proposals. 1. In the face of the northern metropolis development, is the local agricultural industry vanishing? And 2. How can we preserve local agricultural industry? And lastly, how can we select the favorable locations for the implementation of our proposals with the data from the CSDI portal and also analytical tools from ArcGIS Online? In response to our research questions, we proposed 2 solutions to alleviate the current situation. The first one is agritourism. It focuses on raising attention towards the food self-insufficiency problem by setting up publicly open farms, with existing ones shown on the map. And these farms can organize agricultural and educational activities for visitors, thus promoting Hong Kong's agricultural significance, its preservation, and also providing additional income for farmers to support their livelihood. The second one is farm to table. By increasing the cooperation between local farms and restaurants, the use of local food products can boost local farms' profitability, and it can also lengthen Hong Kong's agricultural significance. To select the favorable locations for our project, we set up 4 criteria, which are farm. F stands for flatland. We believe that a large piece of flatland is crucial towards farming and supports the growth of crops. Hence, only land with inclination of 8 degrees or less is selected for the research. A stands for accessibility. We believe that a well-developed transport network is pivotal, such as bus stops and MTR stations nearby, so that visitors can access the location with ease. R stands for refined land use. This is to ensure that there's an easy shift from the original land use to the new land use to support the feasibility of our projects. For example, residential and commercial land uses would not be ideal. And lastly, M stands for market. Markets support the redistribution of food products and appeal to a wider range of customers. And it also helps farmers make an additional living.
Now, I'll explain the process of locating the favorable areas for implementations of the 2 proposals. For agritourism, we first plotted the locations of publicly open farms from the FVMC's website. The capacity and activities provided by the farm is manually marked. Then, we classified the farms by the number of activities available there into different colors, in which dark blue represents the highest number of activities provided. After that, we created a density map based on the number of activities held by the farm. The higher the number in the legend, the more concentrated the farms are. Leisure farms with more activities provided weigh more. Then the density of the farms are taken into account. The class of an area represents the concentration of the leisure farms with consideration of the number of activities held. For instance, the 2 areas shown here have a similar farm density, but different classes. This is because the number of activities provided by the farms in the middle area is higher than the lower one. To facilitate further procedures, the density map is simplified into one base layer where only areas of class 6 or above were preserved. Then, we created buffers for distances for bus stops, MTR stations, and markets. We also made use of a land use planning map from ESRI and only kept the land uses that were suitable for developing agritourism. Finally, we used ArcGIS Pro's raster calculator to identify land with inclination less than 8 degrees and kept those larger than 5,000 square feet. An example near Santin is shown here. Now that we have obtained all the criteria layers, we overlaid them and identified the sites that are most favorable for agritourism. The process of farm to table is quite similar to that of agritourism. We first located the crop and livestock farm in the Northern and Yunnan districts, and created routes of the shortest distance between each type of farm. It is used to ensure that the crops can be transported quickly to the restaurants with the closest routes, hence ensuring the freshness of the crops. We then created buffers for bus stops and filtered those routes using the buffer created. After that, we created buffers for land use and we filtered again. We then created buffers for MTR stations and filtered them once again. Finally, we created a 100-meter buffer for the remaining routes and conducted a land use filter once again to obtain the final results. This is an example of the results where the dark red line is the initial closest distance and the red area is the buffer created afterwards. Here is a brief summary of the tools and data sources used in the research process. Now that we have obtained the ideal locations for both proposals, we can locate the final areas that are favorable for the implementation of the 2 projects. To better facilitate the measures, we can make use of the agricultural priority areas selected by the government. By comparing the APAs and our final results, we are able to identify the 2 favorable locations. The first and the most favorable area for implementation is in Cam Tin, where both areas of farm to table and agritourism overlaps, as well as the APA in Kong Ah Lang. With the assistance from the APA, this relatively large area can become the focus location for the implementation of our measures. Take a look here. This is a visual representation of the measures in the action in Canteen. The facilities are connected with routes of different colors, allowing the efficient transport of people and resources from one point to another. The second most favorable area is near Shakot Airfield, with both areas of the two measures overlapping. However, this area is relatively smaller to the previous one and has less connections with the nearby APAs. Therefore, it is less favorable but can still develop on a smaller scale.
Although we have located the favorable locations for proposals, how to implement them is a big problem to tackle. To figure out the implementation, we first need to identify the stakeholders and then how they can contribute to the system. The stakeholders are cornerstones to the measures, and without them, the implementation cannot be done. They are farmers, local communities, and visitors, including tourists and daily customers. Everyone has a part to play in sustaining these measures. Farmers will organize events to raise awareness and supply fresh local produce daily to markets and restaurants. Locals and tourists can actively participate in events, promote them, and support farmers by consuming the products and dining at restaurants that use local produce. Merchants in the community will assist in promotion, distributing leaflets to increase participation and help maintain tourist engagement to boost local economic activity. Markets will redistribute farm-produced food to restaurants and locals, expanding the reach of local products to more customers. The government has faced persistent budget deficits in recent years, largely due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we understand this financial strain. Therefore, our proposals focus on cost-effective measures that aims to stabilize these deficits through increased tax revenue without significant new expenditure. The government will provide vital support to various stakeholders. They can issue locally produced verified license to ensure the local origination of the food products and enhance customer confidence. The government can also foster cooperation through creating informative platforms and farmer merchant associations to facilitate direct communication and resource sharing. Other than that, to improve the quality of service, training courses can be offered to farmers. Lastly, the government can provide certain stakeholders with professional resources or directly promote the measures on the webpage and social media to increase awareness and participation. During the research process, we have faced one limitation. That is the lack of research information, since the Northern Metropolis is still being under development with limited spatial data available. This may affect the accuracy of our research due to potential new data, such as the developments of the transport network. To conclude, we have covered the problem of agricultural loss in the Northern Metropolis as the development continues. We propose two solutions to this problem, where the first one, agritourism, aims to educate the public about the importance of agriculture in Hong Kong and its preservation, while the second one targets to lengthen the agricultural significance through increasing the use of local food products. We hope that eventually, the problem of agricultural loss in Hong Kong can be emphasized and resolved. Thank you.
Thank you， 唔該晒，多謝晒。咁接住落嚟就係我哋評審嘅發時間，交俾我哋嘅評審。咁睇下有冇第一條嘅問題。
法文可以用中文，唔該。
好，咁我哋係啦，冇問題。咁我睇下我哋嘅評審有啲咩問題想問我哋嘅同學仔啦。我哋嘅主評審啊。
我想問下咧，其實你哋有冇做一個 research 或者係 understanding， 其實香港嘅即係農作業其實係主要係啲乜嘢嘢咧？咁同埋即係將來做 implementation 嗰陣時候，係咪都可以 support 到即係呢啲嘅農作業嘅發展？
係香港嘅農業咧，通常就係主要係種菜或者種米啊，即係例如我哋之前學校帶過我哋去睇一啲種米嘅 experience 嘅，咁我哋相信咧，如果我哋可以搞 agritourism 咧，咁 agritourism 就係例如一啲農業嘅旅遊業啦，即係例如可以俾啲遊客入去啲農場體驗下一啲唔同嘅農業活動，例如係可能可以幫有時如果有動物嘅話，甚至可以體驗下幫啲牛去攞奶啊，或者幫手去割米、種米、插秧各種嘅唔同嘅體驗，咁呢啲相信都可以令到多啲嘅人可以理解到農業本身佢哋平時係做啲乜嘢啦，同埋佢哋對我哋社會嘅貢獻。
好，咁睇下仲有冇下一條嘅問題。 咁我哋有請廖生。
咁北部都會區咧，除咗有即係頭先你講嘅種菜啊、種米之外，其實關於即係農業上面，亦都有好多嘅雞場啊、豬場啊，亦都有啲魚塘啊咁樣樣。你覺得你哋嘅建議可唔可以都適用於呢啲其他雞場啊、豬場啊、魚塘啊咁樣嘅？
咁雞場同豬場，我哋喺 Farm to Table 呢 part 都見到咧，我哋其實係有 label 出嚟嘅。咁我哋最後嘅 resource 都係有 consider 到呢啲農場啦。咁關於魚塘咧，其實佢哋呢個位置其實係比較限制嘅，即係冇咩 flexibility 啦，一定要近水源咧。咁所以我哋其實喺呢度係冇 take into account 嘅，淨係考慮咗雞、豬同埋蔬菜嘅農場啫。
好，係咪有補充定冇 ？OK， 咁仲睇下有冇其他嘅問題？我哋啲時間，咁睇下評審仲有冇其他問題啦。如果冇嘅話咧，非常之多謝你哋 ，thank you， 多謝晒。 接住落嚟為我哋匯報嘅係0799D 九龍三育中學第一隊，現在開始計時。
大家好，我们是来自九龙三育中学，我们的作品名为《紫金之星，让北都联系世界》。在2021年施政报告中确立，北部都会区将成为香港融入国家发展的核心引擎。区内划分4大功能板块，包括高端专业服务与物流枢纽、创新科技地带、口岸商贸及产业区和蓝绿康乐旅游生态圈，打造香港经济增长新动能及国际创科枢纽。从卫星图像可见，古洞北新市镇和落马洲县镇发展，短短10年间已由绿地渐渐变成发展地区，附近的公路建设也已经开始。2024年施政报告中更提及，北部都会区不但是香港第2个经济引擎，而且也是市民宜居宜业的优质社区。可见，营造市民宜居宜业社区是北部都会区发展的核心目标之一。由此可见，我们希望可以在北部都会区打造一个名为“紫金之星”的综合文化、旅游及娱乐用途的大型公共康乐设施，以此为核心，向全球展现北都的魅力。目标是吸引来自世界各地的人才，他们都是相当高学历、高生产力及较年轻的一代。什么是紫金之星？紫金之星是我们原创设计的建筑物，大家可以看看同学手中的模型。设计以具有香港特色的紫荆花为蓝图，选取花瓣做出每一个楼层，以花托作为模型的底层，将升降机比作为花蕊，组装合成的单位即花瓣是可以随时更换的。刚才提及要吸引较年轻的人才，我们可以紧贴潮流文化，更换组装合成的单位，打造融合文化、旅游、娱乐与大战的北部都会区地标。我们透过研究不同的公开数据及空间数据，达到以下4个目的：找出适合新建紫金之星的地方，找出北都特色的景点可与紫金之星协同发展，提出符合北都发展方向的活动可以紫金之星举办，提出建议，推动全民创科与市民社区的参与。为打造紫金之星为一个北都新会点，我们列出了以下选址条件，并根据 CSDI 公开数据做以下分析。
首先，为了方便来自不同区域的市民前往，所以我们将范围缩到了创新科技地带和口岸商贸及产业区这2个发展区中间。其次，为推广蓝绿资源，紫金之星会临近生态，同时考虑到对湿地的保护，就是橙色线往深圳的地区是湿地缓冲区，所以我们选址将设置在橙色线的另一面。第三，我们希望推广康乐设施，如露营。大家可以看一下模型，上面展示的是紫金之星附近的环境与设施。为了有良好的露营体验，需要平坦开阔的草地。我们利用生态地图筛选出草地，就是在这幅地图中显示的黄色地区。此外，我们用卫星图和 ArcGIS Online 的斜坡分类功能，其中红色和黄色为陡坡，灰色为已有建筑的区域，深绿色为平地。我们需要避开陡坡和已有建筑的区域，确保选的地方是平地。第四，我们要接近市中心的位置，所以在选址时，我们考虑了与现有和将来地铁站的距离。我们利用了 Buffer 功能，找出有地铁站步行时间10分钟能到达的地方，而图中显示的是地铁站站点。我们会在这些地鐵站的藍圈中選出我們需要的地區。
我哋根據咗最新嘅法定圖則，了解咗未來嘅土地用途分佈。我哋利用 ArcGIS Online 嘅 過濾功能選出咗政府、機構、社區、休憩用地、綠化地帶等以唔同顏色代表，從而幫助我哋可以選出可用嘅地圖、可用嘅地區。綜合以上內容，我哋利用 ArcGIS Online 嘅 Model Builder 揾出咗初步嘅位置。我哋得出呢3個綠色嘅地點啦，主要位於新田同埋古洞北。因為考慮到由內地嚟港嘅旅客，所以我哋根據香港公開數據平台得出羅湖以及落馬洲係出入境人次最多嘅口岸，最終得出距離羅湖以及落馬洲車程最短嘅時間以內可以到達圖上呢個地區，係位於古洞北嘅東華三院馬草壟營地。我哋查看咗 MVDI 值，確定咗呢個地方係咪適合露營以及建造紫荊之心，因此我哋需要揾到低 MVDI 值嘅地方作為建造紫荊之心，就係紅色同埋棕色嘅地區。選擇咗低 MVDI 值嘅地方作為露營，主要為淡綠色同埋黃色嘅地區，所以選擇咗呢一個位置作為建造紫荊之心嘅所在地。
来到紫荊之心后可以做些什么呢？在右图中可以看出紫荊之心的3D 模型在场景检视器中的日照情况，游客可以在这里享受到美丽的日出及日落，加上2级历史建筑的麦景陶碉堡，好可为一带密集的鱼塘，实在是特别的露营体验。紫荆之心十分靠近北环线地铁站，周边设施涵盖新田科技城的创新科技企业、北区医院以及古洞北的政府联合办公大楼等综合设施。这些核心功能区域位置优越，有助于吸引各地人才来港定居，进一步促进城市发展。而且邻近各处富有特色景点及自然生态，深度体验北都生活。Map Tour 中的第1点为紫荆之心的位置，邻近的景色包括粉岭高尔夫球场、露营胜地、朗园自然生态公园、大生尾鱼塘、马草楼麦景陶碉堡、黑水芒厨余处理基地、志记建牧场。在紫荆之心的花瓣中，也就是组装合成的单位中，更会举办5大特色活动主题，主要元素包括始于创科、可持续发展、民生产业、生活足迹及亲近大自然。活动例子有设立黑水芒厨余处理体验馆、鱼菜共生与黑水芒养殖的系统，让体验者亲自采种及采收青菜；幼虫观察室、透明管道展示黑水芒分解垃圾的过程、黑水芒趣味 AR 游戏，以及志记建牧场导览及工作坊。可以提供亲子体验、制造木头拼装玩具、木质音乐盒等，自制地道手信，提供组装和打磨的体验。另外，我们希望将卫星技术融入到北部都会区的发展中，因为它应用广泛。例如，在 STEM 活动中，我们了解到卫星遥感技术利用激光雷达应用到树木管理方面。
總括而言，北部都會區嘅發展帶動咗公共設施需求嘅快速增長，同埋預示到將來住宅用地嘅增加。因此，我哋希望將紫荊之心打造成市民進行康樂活動嘅全新選擇。紫荊之心嘅選址尤其重要，我哋利用咗空間數據分析咗經濟活動、交通運輸、環境、城市規劃同埋社區發展，選定咗上水東華三院馬草壟營地嘅土地。簡單概括一下，該地點位於北都嘅核心地區，其次，此地點鄰近生態，可以推廣生態旅遊同埋濕地保育之間取得平衡。最後，該地具備露營活動嘅理想條件，包括平坦嘅草地、迷人嘅自然景色、穩定嘅客流量、便利嘅交通，以及鄰近多個特色景點。期望紫荊之心向外界展示香港不凡嘅創科力量同埋地區特色，融合不同嘅元素發展，包括創新科技、可持續發展、民生產業、生活足跡及生態保育等。展望將來，更可以用衛星影像及人工智能監測土地變化，幫助保護自然生態和規劃未來休閒區。今日嘅分享到此為止，多謝大家。
好多謝晒咁多位同學，咁接住落嚟呢，就係我哋評審嘅發問環節啦。咁啊，將個時間交俾我哋嘅評審啦，睇下有冇第一條嘅問題。睇下邊位評審想。好，我哋有請廖生。
同學咧，你哋呢個紫荊之心嘅建築信息模型係點樣做出嚟嘅？
我们在比赛准备期间去到了北部都会区，在那边看到了许多花花草草以及自然景色啦，然后我们就想将那边的自然环境融入到我们的作品中，然后并且联想到紫荆花为香港的区花，可以以它为代表，然后向世界介绍香港，所以我们把紫荆花为原型融入到了我们的这个建筑当中。
而且咧，我哋喺課堂上咧都會學到有一個組裝合成呢個知識點啦。咁覺得咧可以把呢啲拆開，跟住再砌翻埋，就覺得好有意思。
咁好啊，睇下有冇其他嘅問題。好，有請鄺教授。
冇，我有個位有啲奇怪想問，就係你哋講起麥景陶碉堡啊，因為你話佢工業風設計，邊度聽翻嚟啊？
那個麥景陶碉堡，那個
對，為什麼說它是工業風啦？對，你們是這樣寫的。栗子山文化與自然生態這裡，Point 1 2的歷史和建築風格，下面往下去，覺得看不懂，所以就問。這裡說它是工業風設計。
因為它是一個戰爭的遺址啦，然後一些混凝土設計更偏向於工業風，然後有一些奇特的地方，就是這樣。
好，咁我哋睇下仲有冇下一條嘅問題。有請黃博士。
我看到這組就用到這個衛星的數據。那你剛剛說就是衛星數據用了這個 NVDI 對不對？實在是 NDVI， 不是 NVDI， 因為你看這個英語是 Normalized Difference Vegetation Index， 所以就是說 NDVI，not NVDI。你剛剛說就是你這個建築物是要建在一個 NDVI 比較低的地方，能不能說明一下為什麼？
咁主要咧NVDI 值咧就係我哋揀到係低 NVDI 值，即係完全冇植被可以直接喺上邊建築嘅，所以我哋可以都同時保留周圍嘅環境啦。所以所以就會喺呢度建築。
冇綠色咁咪唔好睇啦。
綠色主要負責喺露營嘅地區，所以選擇喺中等嘅 NVDI 值，即係唔似係好多森林，但係佢係平地有草地嘅。
OK， 好，多謝。
好，睇下有冇仲有其他問題啦。我哋評審仲有冇問題想問？我相信都 present 得好清楚，亦都多謝晒咁多位同學 ，thank you。
Good morning. We are Geo Connect from
係啦，我知道佢非常之好想快啲參與，但係等我介紹一下先。咁嚟緊咧，我哋呢一隊嘅同學啦，就係0674DHKAGE-07，現在計時開始。
Good morning. We are Geo Connect from the Hong Kong Academy of Gifted Education, and we are honored to present on Moving Smoother, Unlocking Mobility in the Northern Metropolis. In recent years, the Northern Metropolis has undergone rapid development. Due to this, existing transport networks are inadequate to contend with increased demand. In our project, we explore 3 transportation measures adopted by the government, analyze their benefits, as well as propose new and well-rounded solutions to complement existing frameworks.
Currently, the Northern Metropolis faces 2 main challenges. One of them is the road congestion and capacity constraints in existing highways, like the Tolo Highway and the Two Moon Road, which operate over capacity during peak hours. Due to the lack of traffic diversion, road accidents seriously affect everyone within the area. However, because of geographical constraints, this cannot simply be solved by expanding existing highways, requiring a new highway to divert traffic flow. Secondly, the limited connectivity is prevalent in the Northern Metropolis. Most of the new development areas are not yet self-contained communities, meaning that east-west connection, travel, and neighborhood connection is required. Currently, traveling between areas by MTR is often time-consuming, causing further congestion when passengers rely on public bus services. This leads to demand for a heavy railway system and a form of internal transport within isolated communities.
The government has developed different strategies to combat the problems we have mentioned, and we have selected 3 distinct pieces of transport infrastructure of different categories, which are shown on the map. The Northern Link, which is a railway system, the Sha-Tin Bypass, which is a highway, and the Hong Shui-Kiu Ha-Tun Smart and Green Mass Transit System, which is a form of internal road-based transit within an NDA. This enables us to comprehensively analyze the benefits of different approaches to the problem, and offer suggestions regarding concerns that arise in further stages of planning and construction.
The first case study we will cover is the Northern Link, which will serve as an important extension of the MTR system and provide connection between the East and West Northern Metropolis. It can increase accessibility by creating a direct rail corridor that links the Tuen Ma Line and the East Rail Line, avoiding detours through Kowloon. Through the calculate travel cost function, we can see that a 27-minute private car commute can be shortened to only 12 minutes, reducing congestion and improving quality of life. Kwu Tung and Kam Sheung Road will experience rapid population growth within the next 2 years, as seen from the predicted population data. But through the generate travel areas function, we can see that residents cannot reach the current transport infrastructure within a 15-minute walk, meaning the Northern Link will be even more beneficial to these future residents. On top of that, the Northern Link forms a railway loop, which helps divert cross-boundary traffic within the MTR system and alleviates pressure on the East Rail Line. This increases commuting efficiency and speed. Because the stations on the Northern Link serve new development areas, it promotes economic growth as well as increase in land value, spurring further development in NDAs. We use buffer zones on past examples such as Lois Park and Wong Chuk Hang, were transport-oriented projects that experienced economic and commercial development, and overlaid the building datasets to show the amount of new infrastructure built. The NOL will also help the Northern Metropolis develop in this aspect. Moreover, the NOL also services the Sandton Technopole, further promoting development in both the mainland and Hong Kong. Despite its numerous benefits, the Northern Link raises concerns. Environmentally, it may disrupt sites of ecological importance. We imported spatial datasets of mangroves, marsh reed beds, natural watercourses, etc., and overlaid them with the proposed Northern Link to see where the biggest threats lie, as well as the places that will be affected the most. Marshes and man-made wetlands are at risk near Kam Tin, as well as agricultural wetlands near Shek Wu Wai. The solution would be rerouting to avoid wetlands, using elevated viaducts to protect habitats, or using tunneling as an alternative. The government could also invest in low vibration tracks to minimize disruption to sensitive areas.
Due to the aforementioned conditions, expenses and construction difficulties would also arise. This prompts joint funding with Guangdong and the mainland government, especially for cross-boundary links, for mutual economic growth. Tracks that do not threaten ecology can be elevated instead of tunneled, further reducing the costs of slope stabilization and construction.
The second case study is the Shatton Bypass, which aims to increase connectivity and traveling efficiency between the northern metropolis and Kowloon. Existing highways like the Tolo Highway are unable to adequately address the congestion problem, causing severe delays and economic losses. We used the Changsha Highway as a blueprint and predicted that the Shatton Bypass will be able to significantly alleviate congestion, diverting around 25% from the major existing highways, as seen from the map. However, concerns have arisen regarding the environmental impacts of the project, especially since existing highways have caused extreme environmental pollution. In the chloropleth map we used, the darker shades symbolize a high concentration of respirable suspended particulates in the air, most of which were caused by transport, causing air pollution and affecting its nearby residents. Taking this into consideration, we propose installing green noise cancelling systems as shown in the map. Another major concern is the construction and routing. The relief near northern metropolis is relatively mountainous, with slopes and fragile rocks. By extracting spatial data from the geology dataset, we analyze the relief and rock formations of the areas. The areas in yellow are suitable for tunneling and digging, and thus ideal for the Shatton Bypass to be constructed. To alleviate this problem, we suggest deploying real-time AI sensors to monitor high-risk slopes during construction process, minimizing accidents. In the process of routing, we hope that geology, elevation, and effects on traffic diversion could be taken into consideration. Moving on, the yellow and blue areas are the main service areas of the Shatton Bypass. The route marked in red is currently the fastest way to travel from Shengshui to Changsha. In comparison, the purple route is significantly much shorter, thus providing a more direct and faster route to Shatton. Taking into account the traffic flow census and most common destinations of commuters, we suggest that the Shatton Bypass should be connected to the west or central Kowloon in order to maximize traffic diversion from congested major routes, relieving the pressure on critical highways.
Last but not least, the Hongshui-Q Hachun Smart and Green Mass Transit System is a proposed extension of the light rail, which increases neighborhood connectivity and accessibility to the MTR. Firstly, the mass transit system increases accessibility to the neighborhood. As the NDA's population is expected to grow rapidly, the lack of a nearby MTR station makes the area inaccessible. By using the generative travels area tool on the 3 light rail stations in the area, which are all located at the boundaries of the NDA, we found out that 15 minutes is inadequate to reach public transport from mainland residential areas, which are shown through overlaying the map. In view of this issue, the government has proposed the Smart and Green Mass Transit System, aiming to put into practice by 2030. It can provide accessible transport facilities to support residential, commercial, and recreational development. The SGMCS utilizes on-road vehicles instead of tracks like the light rail, making it more cost-effective, flexible, and environmentally friendly due to the lack of overhead cables and permanent infrastructure. Yet, the long-term effectiveness of the system raises concerns. In the developing NDA, demand is unstable. Therefore, we propose using AI traffic forecasting to dynamically adjust services, which can help us predict traffic flow. Here is a model that demonstrates it. So as you can see, there are different AI traffic light sensors, and there's a sensor here that can actually sense the flow of people, which is shown in the LCD monitor here. And the SGMCS can actually adjust their systems accordingly. Sorry. Moreover, due to existing bus networks as shown on the map, challenges may arise when building dedicated infrastructure in order to minimize disruption. We suggest making changes in phases and conducting testing of user preferences in the red circled areas, which are the most concentrated residential areas, as well as using non-permanent viaducts with flexible routes.
In conclusion, through analyzing our chosen case studies, we hope that we proved their effectiveness in alleviating transport problems in the northern metropolis, as well as provided comprehensive suggestions for concerns like cost, environment, and long-term integration that will hopefully be able to work collaboratively with the existing blueprint, making the northern metropolis a more livable and accessible community. This is the end of our presentation. Thank you.
好，多謝晒你哋嘅匯報 ，thank you。接住落嚟就係評審嘅發問時間啦。咁睇下邊一位評審咧都有更加多嘅資訊想了解一下。好，有請廖生。
Thank you for your presentation. Can you tell me more about how you estimate the traffic volume that can be diverted by the Shatin bypass?
Basically, we use the Changsha Highway because we analyze all the existing highways in Hong Kong right now, and it's the most similar to the Shatin bypass because of the route length and go pass. And we use that as a kind of a blueprint to kind of estimate the amount of traffic it's gonna divert, which is around 25%. There isn't an ideal or exact amount to be estimated because it's not built yet. But we estimate that we are able to really help alleviate the problem.
好，咁睇下仲有冇下一條嘅問題。好，咁我哋有請我哋嘅主評審。
我想了解多啲咧，就係如果將來都係有呢個 implementation 嘅時候，其實你哋個 conclusion 都講咗好多嘅 challenges 嘅。咁可唔可以再講多啲？其實要做 implementation 嗰陣時候，咁究竟最 challenge 其實係邊一 part 咧？咁同埋個過程應該有冇諗過點樣去 solve 呢個 solution 咁樣㗎？
咁其實我哋當我哋做緊我哋成個 presentation 嘅時候，我哋都有諗過每一個政府 propose 嘅 transportation infrastructure 每一個啦，即係我哋有3個唔同嘅 case studies 啦，咁我哋都有諗過3個嘅每一個都有會出現啲咩問題咁樣，而我哋都承認啦，有啲問題係會比較難去解決嘅。咁我哋就想成個 presentation 係希望即係知道有呢啲問題之餘，仲可以諗一啲 solution 去解決呢個問題啦。咁譬如 Northern Link， 咁其實呢個已經係計劃之中嘅一個已經有呢個流程已經計劃緊嘅。咁但係我哋就見到其實有好多propose 咗嘅 areas 都會影響佢而家生態啦。咁例如呢個 station 同埋呢一個 station 啦。咁呢個附近都見到有好多綠色嘅地方啦，咁呢啲就係政府希望保育嘅地方 ，wetlands 或者 mangroves 呢啲啦。咁喺我哋係咁，我哋例如呢啲綠色嘅圈圈啦，咁我哋就希望喺呢啲地方 ，for example 可以整到 elevated 嘅tracks 或者 viaducts， 咁就可以去多啲保護下邊嘅濕地或者 mangroves 咁樣，而其他嘅方案都係類似咁樣解決，我哋嘅 presentation 都會睇到。
好，咁睇下仲有冇其他嘅問題？睇下評審咧，仲有冇其他嘅問題都想再問一問。如果冇嘅話咧，都多謝你哋 ，thank you， 多謝晒咁多位。呢個時候可以咧喺右邊離場啦。